Wide open Torrence. Oh, baby, touchdown. How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open?
You show, and that's what we do. Cat.
You're proud of me?
And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Welcome all to Bankroll Blitz Week 7 ahead of us. 15 games for us to break down on today, Tuesday, October 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys all so much for joining us. Troy, you're coming off of a big week, an important week, as you dug a hole off the beginning of the year. And what a phenomenal week you just had. 15-7 plus 9.13 units. We're going to go over that and go over where we stand here as we move into week 7. But it's great to rock with you.
So you were able to catch up with the 3 or 4 weeks that I missed.
Yes, everything is all caught up now.
It's not easy to do so because I'm putting out 25 bets in a week. I know a lot of them are on the same team, but I mean, it's just kind of. I texted you earlier. It's probably annoying dealing with me at some point.
No, it's good. It's all good. It's no problem whatsoever. Alex in the house says, thank you, Troy. Plus 37 units this past week. Copied many of your picks. Gave 1 unit back on the Jets, though. So did we. So did I. Well, I didn't give anything back in the end, just because I had the team total over. But it's a little more complicated than that. It was not great. It's still angry about the game last night, but it's all good. We have a new slate of action ahead of us. Shout out to all the cappers joining us live right now. We got Truth Teller in the house, Dougie Wise, Wine Time Sports, Goran Ninkowski, Londo, Alex, Mac Beavers, Birdie. Great to see all of you guys. Let's talk about the week that was and get right after it. The week that was for me started out great. 49ers first half minus 2.5. San Francisco, Seattle over 48. Live bet a couple spots on that game and cashed both. Was in great shape. Then it was a bad week. Things fell apart for me on Sunday. Cashed with the Lions minus 3. Lost the Cardinals first half plus 3.5. Cashed Arizona, Green Bay under 49.5. Lost badly Tampa Bay, New Orleans under 41.5. Lost the Chargers, Denver double up. First half under, full game under. Cash Buccaneers minus 3. Lost again with the Titans. Just my Achilles heel this year, minus 2.5. Lost with the Giants plus 4. Lost with the Jets money line. Cashed the Jets team total over 19.5. And lost with Atlanta, Carolina under 46. So it was a 6-8 week, down 2.84 units. Very disappointing. When Thursday was over, I was in the black. I was in the black on the season and was very, very pumped up. So to fall right back to where I was is it's bothersome. Very, very bothersome. We got D Jenkins in the house, RVD 420, Mossman, Ron Crawford. Great to see you guys. Let's talk about the week that was for you. It was a great bounce back week for you. 15-7 plus 9.13 units. Let's go over your action. You cashed with the 49ers first half minus 2.5 and the 49ers minus 3. You cashed with the Bears minus 2 and the Bucks minus 2.5. You also gave money back on that under 42.5 in New Orleans, Tampa Bay. You got a better line than me. It didn't matter. It was a unbelievable amount.
You didn't get the 42.5. I thought I got it at the same time you did.
No, because I bet it after the show. So by the time I bet it, I give exactly what I bet at. What that was not at 42.5. Line shopping for you got the 42.5. Patriots plus 7 was a loser. And New England, Houston under 38 was a loser. Then you cashed with the Lions minus 3. You cashed with the Lions double. In retrospect, I don't know why I wasn't on that double. Nice plus 110 line for you. Then you tied the Lions to the 49ers at plus 145. You tied them to Cincinnati at plus 144. Those are both nice cashers. Then you had a triple up on the Denver Chargers under all full game variety, one alt line. Those did not go well for you. Then you use them.
They're real damn close to go extremely well for me.
23-0 going into the fourth quarter. Like to think that you're in business in that spot. Then you use some alt lines with some.
So these are 10-point teasers. All three. The next 2 bets that you're looking at are 10-point teasers, Jim. And I've been experimenting with them more and more.
So yeah, Chicago plus 11, Philadelphia plus 1.5, and the Denver Chargers under 45.5.
And I'm missing a bet here, Do you have I have a 3-team 6-point teaser. I'm not seeing it on the list for some reason. I did post it prior to the action. I don't know.
Okay, is that because I have the under 41.5, Baltimore -1, Philly -2 at plus 160.
Yes.
Then
yes.
the under, is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one. The plus 160, 3-leg,
Yeah.
6-point.
Yeah, we got that for you. And then under 45.5, Baltimore plus 3.5, and Cincy plus 6.5 cashed as well. The Bengals double cash for you at plus 115. Cincinnati under 52 at plus Cincinnati in the under 52 cashed at plus 115. The just straight under 46.5 cash for you. You lost the Jets Buffalo under 41 cash, Jets plus 7.5 and the under 47.5. So a very, very good week for you, and we need to start stacking these very good weeks. Thank you guys so much for joining us. D Jenkins coming off an 8-1-1 week. We need to continue this climb. You need to continue this climb, and I need to get into the black desperately. That Sunday morning, Friday and Saturday felt so glorious. And then Saturday, I swept the board in CFL with the double results, a couple double result bangers, and swept hockey. I felt so good going to NFL action, and I got open hand slapped in the face. So I'm ready. I'm champing at the bit to get back to work. Are you ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock. I appreciate all the love in the comments, giving me props for a good week. But one good week after those 3 weeks, it's not enough, man. I just want more. I can't wait to get in the action. So
let's get right after it. I'm right with you. Let's get right after it. We start Thursday, October 17th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Denver Broncos 3-3, 2-1 on the road at the New Orleans Saints, 2-4, 1-2 at home. We're at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. I have not made an NFL bet this week, so this is all going to be set up and hammered away at here. Let's talk about the line movement in this one. We have these Denver Broncos opening up at +1, now -1.5, juice to -116 at Pinnacle. We see 2.5s on the board, some 2s on the board. So a clear line move towards the Broncos with all the injuries that New Orleans is facing. This total is sitting right now at 37, -105 to the under. This opened up -107 to the under. So we've had 2 cents of movement towards the over. Nothing big happening on this total. Let's get into the cash flow here for this one. Again, this game pops off in 48 hours and 8 minutes. 35% of the tickets are on the Broncos and 56% of the cash. 89% of the tickets and 68% cash is on the over because of how bad the New Orleans defense is. Truth Teller says, I think the Broncos are trash. I'm going to be on the Saints injuries or not. I'm certainly expect to be on the Denver Broncos once we are done this one. That is my expectation, is to be on the Broncos. Let's get to work here. I've added a couple statistics. I waited until this point in the year to add them. I was always concerned that the sample size wasn't enough, and I didn't want to weigh too heavily on the statistics. But now that we have 6 weeks of action under our belt, I've added some stuff. So let's start with the Broncos. Their passing offense is 27th in the league at 170.8 yards per game. Their rushing offense, 23rd in the league at 107.3 yards per game. Their red zone offense, 19th in the league at 50%. And their third down offense, second worst in the league at 25%. It's not a very good offense. We know that. Their red zone defense is the number 1 red zone defense in the league. They're allowing touchdowns 33.3% of the time. Their pass defense is 5th in the league, allowing 170.2 yards through the air. Their rush defense 14th at 114.2, and their third down defense 19th at 38.4%. Their defense has been very strong, while their offense has struggled. The first 6 games of Bo Nix's career. I mean, we expected that. They come in off a 23-16 loss at home to the Chargers. They were shut out until the fourth quarter. Bo Nix was 19 of 33 for 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He also led the team with 6 carries for 61 yards. The rest of the team combined for 12 carries for 49 yards. We saw Javonte Williams look bad to start the year. Tyler Beatty take his spot, and then Beatty get hurt, and Javonte Williams stepped up in a big way. He did not step up last week. Struggled. 6 carries for 23 yards, 3 catches for 13 yards, and he lost a fumble. And their number 1 receiver, Devon Villay, led receivers with 4 catches for 78 yards. Cortland Sutton caught 4 for 53 and a touchdown, but the offense struggled. On third down, they were just 3 of 11. Now, they were perfect in the red zone. But those opportunities didn't come until the fourth quarter. The defense allowed the Chargers to go 11 of 18 on third down. So the Chargers just dominated time of possession, 37-23 to 22-37. And it didn't help that they lost Patrick Surtain to a concussion after just one snap. He's in concussion protocol. They very rarely get cleared for the Thursday, so we expect Surtain to be out of the lineup. Without Surtain, the Broncos couldn't stop the Chargers. 2 field goals, 2 touchdowns before a kneel down at the end of the first half. And in that first half, the Chargers had the ball for 21 minutes. I mean, you're going to lose those football games. Broncos' only snap in Chargers territory in the first half ended in a fumble by Javonte Williams. The defense did hold the Chargers to 1 of 3 in the red zone. Pass rush finished with 3 sacks and 6 quarterback hits, and the right tackle, Alex Palczewski, was inactive and is still dealing with the ankle injury. Let's talk about these New Orleans Saints, and I don't want to get too caught up in their offense because we know that Rattler is expected to be the starter again this week, and the stats just don't make sense to break down, with such a difference with Rattler at quarterback than Carr, even though Rattler looked very good in that second quarter. So let's not bother with the statistics offensively, but let's discuss the defensive stats. Their pass defense is 29th in the league, allowing 262.2 yards per game. Now, can they get abused by Bo Nix and this wide receiving group for the Broncos? No. Their rush defense is 20th in the league, allowing 133.7 yards per game. Their red zone defense has kept them going, second in the league at 38.1%, and their third down defense is 20th at 40.3%. So they opened the year with 2 impressive wins, and now they've lost 4 straight. Now they're the Saints that we thought they were going to be. They're coming off that 51-27 loss at home to the Bucs with Spencer Rattler at quarterback, and he wasn't that bad, 22 of 40, 243 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. 9 different receivers caught passes, but his 2 main targets, Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave, combined for just 2 receptions for 16 yards. Olave lost a fumble on his lone reception, then left with a concussion. He's in concussion protocol and is not expected to play. And now what's going to happen with Rashid Shaheed? He had a knee injury in the fourth quarter. He's listed as questionable this week. They could easily go into this game without their top 2 receivers. Foster Moreau led receivers with 2 catches for 54 yards. And Derek Carr's timeline to return from the oblique injury is uncertain. Dennis Allen said it's his intention to start Rattler again on Thursday night. Saints finished 4-13 on third down, 2 of 4 in the red zone. They averaged 4.9 yards per play. The Bucs averaged 8.6 yards per play. The Saints pass rush was invisible. 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits. They got interceptions from Jonathan Abrams, Paulson, Adebo, and Cameron Jordan, but it didn't stop the Bucs from putting up 594 total yards and 51 points on this beleaguered defense. Bucs had 31 first downs. They destroyed the Saints defense in every which way. 317 yards through the air, 277 yards on the ground, 4 or 5 in the red zone. Tampa became the 5th team in NFL history to have at least 300 yards passing and 275 yards rushing in a game. That's only happened 4 other times in NFL history is what we just saw happen to the Saints. 594 total offensive yards, second most ever yielded by the Saints. So Olave's injury is hurting this offense. So they don't have Carr. They don't have Taysom Hill. They don't have their center, Eric McCoy, and his replacement, Cesar Ruiz, who would be playing guard if he wasn't at center. They don't have Lucas Patrick. And Pete Werner missed the game with a hamstring injury, and he's listed as questionable to return this week, but I don't think he comes back this week. These are horrific injuries for the New Orleans Saints. With these injuries, how are we not on the Broncos? Take it away, Troy. The floor is yours. Our Thursday nighter, Broncos Saints, Caesar Superdome in New Orleans.
Well, I'm going to have action on this one. Pretty much every primetime game I'm going to be on in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I benefit when the lines are the most efficient. We get a lot of action on these games, a lot of liquidity in the markets. So I'm looking to take advantage. I mean, the loss of Patrick Surtain, thinking back to the total that I'm complaining about now for probably way too long, it was the loss of Patrick Surtain that sealed our fate with that total. And, it's a huge loss. The privilege you have when you can play man-to-man and take away one receiver, take away the best option on the offense is massively important. You really can't even characterize it unless you're really getting into the X's and O's. And you look at the Saints team, I mean, they're completely decimated by injury. And at first glance, I thought this number was giving strength to the Saints. But the more I looked into it, I flipped my opinion pretty quickly. Despite the box score, the Broncos, they actually got blown out in that game. I don't like the garbage time touchdowns and offensive metrics that they're stealing from. And that's why you want to look at, advanced metrics like PFF is, down to down offensive football. the Broncos weren't there, and the Chargers defense is much better than I thought. And that just what a decision they made to get rid of Staley finally, but it is way too long. It took way too long to get rid of that guy, but you could tell the massive difference it makes for this Chargers team. I love what they're doing with Bo Nix. I mean, he takes care of the balls, relates to turnovers, but you could tell that Gary Payton, this offense, they want to develop him as fast as possible. So they're putting him in situations to get him there, even out the gate in week 1 on the road. They were extremely just a complex scheme with the route combinations that they're running and just everything about what they're doing with Bo Nix. I don't know if we've ever seen it because they're asking him to come along really fast. And now he has a great offensive line that's blocking for him. They're 4th pass blocking per PFF, and Bo Nix definitely helps those numbers with his mobility. And the Broncos versus bad defenses, they've been pretty good this season. At least they're putting up 20 plus points on the board against the Raiders, 34, against Tampa Bay, 26, and against Seattle in week 1 when Seattle was at full strength, they put up 20. And I think the defense has been extremely impressive. And this was a Broncos defense I smashed. I talked so much shit about last year. They need Surtain on the field, but this defense came a long way from where they were at. And then at the Saints, they're everywhere, man. The bad offensive line, we knew that was going to be the case this season. It's even worse with injuries. And I think it's starting to get exposed because the offensive scheme is starting to get exposed once they get put it on film. All you got to do is stop the outside zone, stop the deep pass, and the deep pass is going to be there without Shaheed, without Derek Carr, without Olave. I just don't see the threats on this offense anymore. And defensively, they have so much trouble stopping the run. I'd like to see the Broncos attack this team in the trenches. I want to see more RPO out of Bo. I don't know if we're going to get it because I don't think that's Gary Payton's style. But then you look at the market, and then, this basically made me move instantly because, I'm leaning Broncos. X's and O's got me on the Broncos. The market looks like you should be back in the Broncos. Then you look when home teams open between -1 and -2 and flip to dogs of less than 3. The road team is 11-4 ATS, 73%, 12-4 straight up. The under is also 12-4. That's 75%. And if it's in prime time, the road team is 3-0 ATS, winning by double digits on average. I probably don't have to take the money line to lay the juice, but I did take the money line. I laid the -130. This just has a feeling with all the moving pieces that it could get a little bit ugly. Those points are valuable. I got it at 130. I think it closes north of 140.
I agree. I'm going to move on the Broncos. I probably could have already done that, but I was very focused on just getting all this work done.
When I was capping the game, I mean, Jimmy, I was going game by game. I was seeing a -120 on the Broncos. I, go through 2 or 3 more games, and I refresh freaking, to see where the lines are, and there they are at -130. I'm like, God damn, 10 cents in fucking 45 minutes. It's like, yeah.
I'm right with you. I'm not going to mess with this under.
Gary Payton.
I'm not going to be on the opposite side here, but I'm not going to mess with the under. And the injuries the Saints have are real. The offense that the Saints put up against the Buccaneer defense that's so weak and disheveled right now, it does concern me a bit. I feel like the Broncos are the spot. Ron Crawford saying that they are as well, and so I'm not going to mess with the total here, although I might look for a live under if there is some early scoring. But just the Broncos for me. Are you going to mess with this total?
No, I have no interest in this total at 37. I don't know what to expect out of the Saints team and this Broncos team. I just feel like they're gonna find some connection on offense, man. They're really trying to get Bo to move along quickly, and I like how he's responded, to be honest, even though it wasn't pretty last week.
I like it. I'm right with you. Okay, that is our Thursday nighter, Broncos Saints. Join us for our live stream on Thursday night. 15-7 I am this year on our live bets with everybody working together. All of us, all our eyes on the same game, focused on it. It's been very successful. Let's roll on to Sunday. We start Sunday, October 20th in Wembley Stadium in London. 61 Fahrenheit showers, 15 mile per hour winds. Let's keep an eye on that weather as it can change. We are in London for Patriots, Jaguars. Let's get into the line history and the cash flow for this one. The total is sitting right now at 43. This has gone up from 41.5. The Bet Online look ahead was 39, so it's 4 points ahead of that, and it's climbed 1.5 since the opening line. So we have a big move towards the over in Jacksonville, New England. Jacksonville right now 5.5 point favorites. This is not moving. It's moved 1 cent. That's it, just 1 cent. Get to the cash flow for this one. 5,785 tickets in. We have 11% of the tickets and 68% of the cash on the Jaguars, so it's not moving the line at all. The perceived sharp action or the bigger bets coming in on them. 85% of the tickets and 91% cash on the over. That is moving the line. That is moving the line. Let's get into the Patriots to start off. Their passing offense is the worst in the NFL. And again, the offensive statistics of this team, we probably shouldn't go through because they're very different with Drake May at quarterback than with Jacoby Brissett. So I don't want to get hemmed down on what their numbers are with just one game of Drake May compared to the season totals with Brissett. So let's just move past the offense. We know that the offense struggles. We know that, but it's different with May. Their pass defense is 24th in the league at 228.5 yards per game allowed. That's a bit of a surprise. Their rush defense 19th in the league at 130.3. Their red zone defense 22nd in the league at 61.1. Basically, this is a way worse defense than I expected. Their third down defense also bad, 26th in the league. It's just quite a bit worse than I expected. Patriots coming off their 5th straight loss, an ugly 41-21 setback at home to the Texans. Drake May's first career start, he went 20-33 for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He also led the ground game with 5 carries for 38 yards, but he did lose a fumble. So they reach a season high in scoring behind May, but they also give up the most points that they gave up all season. Demario Douglas does look like a weapon for them. 6 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson out of the lineup with a foot injury, and the Pats' running game without him was inept. Antonio Gibson, Terrell Jennings, and Jermichael Hasty combined for 44 yards on 21 carries. And with Ramondre at this point, we don't know if he's going to be available to play. They were just 3 of 13 on third down. They converted their lone red zone appearance. The defense wasn't – it's depending what stats you're looking at. I mean, they hold the Texans to 4 of 11 on third down, but they can't stop them in the red zone. Texans go 3 for 3. And they couldn't stop the Texans' ground game at all. Mixon and Pierce led this Texan attack, 192 yards. Pass rush finished with 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. Marcus Jones had an interception. And then they lose another tackle. Vidarian Lowe left in the first half with an ankle injury. They're still waiting on the MRI, but this is an offensive line already without David Andrews, their center, their tackle Cedar Wallace, and their guard Cole Strange. This is you need David Andrews so bad for a young Drake May. I mean, it hurts so badly not having him out there, and he's done for the year. Let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their passing offense 20th in the league at 203 yards per game. Rushing offense 19th at 116.5 yards per game. Their red zone offense 22nd at 47.6%. Their third down offense 28th at 30.4%. This offense is weak, much, much weak. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be that good, but I thought it could be middling. It's not even middling. It's a bad offense. Their pass defense is the worst in the NFL, allowing 276.7 yards a game. Their rush defense, okay, 11th, 113.3. So they have the worst pass defense, and they have the worst red zone defense in the NFL. They're allowing touchdowns 76.2% of the time, and their third down defense is terrible at 25th in the league, allowing first downs 44.3% of the time. They're coming off a horrendous 35-16 loss at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Now, the loss, we knew they had trouble getting out of Jacksonville. They got in very late. This is a team very accustomed to playing in the UK. So you can imagine that they'll be much better this week. But is this the type of team you want to expect to win by margin? Evan Ingram returned after missing 4 games with a hamstring injury. He caught 10 for 102 yards, but he did lose a fumble. Trevor Lawrence, 23 of 35, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Gabe Davis caught 5 passes for 45 yards, 2 touchdowns. They lose Travis Etienne with a hamstring injury. He's week to week. He won't play this week. So you have Dernest Johnson and Tank Bigsby. They combined for 13 carries for 52 yards, so they're not going to get a running game. Now, the Jags were 9 of 17 on third and fourth down. That sounds pretty good until you realize They didn't get a single first down on first or second down. Not one all game long. The Bears had 25 first downs compared to the Jags 17. Bears were 5-11 on third down and were a perfect 4-4 in the red zone. Pass rush finished with 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and Cisco had a pick. Darnell Savage is in concussion protocol, so we'll see if he can get out. I now saying everything out loud, there's zero chance I could be on the Jaguars, even though they're going to be much better than they were last week. So the only thing you could possibly do is back the Patriots. Do you want to back Drake May in London in the second game of his career? Take it away for us, Troy. Patriots, Jaguars, Wembley Stadium.
Jimmy, do you ever feel like you have bias going into a game when you start handicapping it and making your notes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talk about that all the time because I think the cappers who are probably the best in the world are the ones that only try to beat the market and don't watch the game. We watch the game. There's players we hate. There's teams we hate. There's coaches we hate. It's stuck in our head. It affects everything we do. And that's why we talk so much about the Undoing Project. So it affects everything that we do. And we have to be as conscious as we can be about it.
It's funny, man, because this is a weird spot too, because I backed and faded one of these teams last week. I backed the Bears against the Jaguars, cash, and I backed the Patriots against the Texans and lost. And felt I was embarrassed by that game after what I seen. But after breaking it down a little bit, going back, I had to go back and rewatch that game because I was kind of hyped up about that one too. Because I had 2 bets on that game. Neither of them won for me. And man, is this Jags team really a 5.5-point favorite? I just can't believe it. People are overstating the Jags' home field advantage in London. Clearly, the Bears were the home team in that game. If you heard the crowd, they were chanting, they were talking shit about the Packers in that game towards the end because the Jags were already finished and done by the end of the third quarter. I mean, and I would have to imagine that we'd see a similar trend this week with Tom Brady and the Patriots having those Super Bowl runs and those deep runs, being an international superstar that he is. I mean, I think that Drake May, what he did in week 1, there was a lot of bad, but there was a lot of good that came with it. He showed the ability to deliver the ball downfield accurately. 3 receivers had receptions longer than 30 yards. I think that's pretty telling of a quarterback that gives you a much higher upside than Jacoby Brissett. We also seen the downside, but it's a rookie, right? And so you expect him to develop a little bit more each week. His ability to extend plays, that's obvious, right? 5 carries, 38 yards. He was getting out of the pocket, trying to make plays, something Jacoby Brissett can't do. Threw 3 touchdown passes, and that's against a very, well-respected Texans defense, and that was without any threats at wide receiver. That will not change, but Ramondre being back in the offense will make things much easier on him. And he does hold on to the ball a little bit long, and I think that being against the Texans defense, and now he gets one of the best defenses. Now he gets downgraded to one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So it's kind of like pick your poison, right? You got a rookie on the road in this first game, not only on the road, across the pond in London in his first game, but that game versus that team is much easier than what he faced last week. So you got to kind of, that's up to you. That's unquantifiable stuff right there. So each capper's going to have their own thing. And I think that the Patriots falling behind early in that game with some of the early third down penalties in the red zone, there was 3 third down penalties. Pats got off the field. Guess what? All 3 of those penalties were in favor of the Texans. Next play, they scored all 3 of them on the very next play. And I don't know. I think that kind of set the stage for what was to be a 20-point blowout last week, or else it could have been a lot closer. The Jaguars, this is what you would say, Jim. This is a term I use frequently. I don't think I've ever used it on the show. I use it frequently, though. A factory of sadness if you're a Jaguars fan. They can't block. They can't catch passes. And it's making things really difficult on Trevor. People are starting to bail on Trevor Lawrence, and I really don't know how much I'm going to put in his basket for responsibility. He is the quarterback, so the other side of the ball they can't defend, and they're not built to play man-to-man, but they play it anyway. And, their 1-3 techniques, like all their interior linemen, they can't get off of blocks. For Ramondre's playing, that's going to be a problem. And I just think this Patriots team against this Jags team that's laying this big number. At first, I thought this was a strength in favor of the Jaguars, but that's what I thought at first glance. But when you dig into it, I don't think that's what's going on here. I think that the bookies are forecasting, knowing that where the money's going to come in when they set their opening lines, And I think even some of the line movement we see throughout the week is predetermined or premeditated. And, I think they accounted for early sharp action and on the Jaguars. I think what's more important is not touching the 6. Talk about it all the time. And here's a metric for you. I grabbed when I noticed the cash flow splits. So the gap is huge right now, right? All the sharp action on the Jags. Why are they getting 5.5? This looks like a spot that I would typically like to be on if it wasn't for the market efficiency database. Because when I look at dogs of 5 or 5.5, when the favorite's getting 60% plus of the cash. So they're getting all the cash, sharp actions on them, but it's not touching that 6. It's not touching that reactionary 6. The dog in that situation is 7-1 ATS, 6-3 straight up. I already bet it. I mean, I bought the 5.5 up to 6 at -120, like I like to do it. And I'm going to consider doing more with the spot, but to be honest, like it's hard to back Drake May in London, even after everything I just touched on. So maybe just 1 unit on this play.
Yeah, I can understand the idea of moving towards the Patriots, and I can understand Birdie's feeling that this Patriots defense is a much different animal than the Bears defense. The extra week does matter to me a lot here. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, Jags for me. I can understand Birdie saying that. Like I can understand both of these spots. And Birdie saying the most uncomfortable bet this week, Jags and the Browns. I just don't find this appealing to put money on it. I just don't. And I don't want to start my Sunday morning. I guess I thought I was going to end up on the Jaguars. I really did. I thought this was all set up after looking so bad last week, knowing that they had the travel issues to get over there. Now they're very comfortable in the UK, and here they were getting a week. It might be a buy low opportunity on them. But going over their statistics and the breakdown of the game, I don't see why I would want to risk money on their behalf. So I'm just going to stay off of this spot here.
And I'm telling you, man, the Patriots' defensive output last week was heavily skewed by turnovers and by some very, very controversial, calls by the referees. So take that for what it is. That's it. That's what I see. And call me biased because I was on the Patriots. Whatever you say, Patriots +6 for me.
You got it. Patriots +6 at -120 for Troy. Let's move back to North America for Sunday morning action. We start 1 p.m. Eastern. Seattle Seahawks 3-3, 1-1 on the road at the Atlanta Falcons, 4-2, 2-2 at home at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have the Falcons at a -3 in most books. This did open at 3 at a pick'em at Pinnacle. The Seahawks at +3 went from -106 on Sunday night at 8:12 p.m. to -128 just 42 minutes later. That's a huge move towards the Seahawks at 3. The Seahawks, that -128 was the high watermark. But they reached it a couple times. They reached it again at 10:02 this morning, the -128. So now we have a 2.5. And the 2.5, it just seems like at 3, everybody's betting the Seahawks. At 2.5, everybody's betting the Falcons. It's pretty simple situation there. Let's get into the total for this one. The total right now is sitting at 50.5. It's -112 to the over. This has come up since 49.5, and the look ahead at BetOnline was 47.5. So a legit move to the over, but that stopped. This got up to 51.5 this afternoon, and it came back to 50.5, although it's used to the over. But we've had a 1-point move towards the over. 1-point move towards the over. And basically no movement on the side, although, we discussed the 2.5 and the 3. When we get to the cash flow for this one, you have 57% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the Seahawks. I mean, moving 25 cents or so in 42 minutes means there was some sharp action. Now, we know there's limits when this comes out, so it's not like there were huge bets placed on them, but bets that the books respected. We have 76% of the tickets and 86% of cash on the over. Londo's all over the Seahawks +3. Seahawks passing offense is the best in the NFL. 200, gains the most yards in the NFL. I think that's probably better put. 276.7 yards per game and 29th rushing. They're just not able to run the ball with 2 very good backs in Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. Their red zone offense, 11th in the league at 64.3%. Their third down offense, 20th at 38.7%. Their pass defense has been pretty good this year, 10th, allowing 195 yards per game. It's their rush defense that gets slaughtered. They're 27th in the league. They're allowing 144.7 yards per game on the ground. Red zone defense, 13th at 50%. Red zone, or third down defense, 8th. 33.8%. Now, they come in off extra rest and prep after falling 36-24 at home to the 49ers last Thursday. Their third straight loss after starting the year 3-0 under first-year coach Mike McDonald. Geno Smith was 30 for 52 for 312 yards, touchdown, 2 picks, and Tyler Lockett led receivers with 4 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. Noah Fant caught 6 for 63. The running game struggled. 20 combined carries for just 52 yards. The offense was 9 of 19 on third or fourth down and went 2 of 3 in the red zone. If you put a line through that running game, you'd think, wow, they must have won that game. Geno Smith throws for 312 yards. They go 9 of 19 on third and fourth down, 2 and 3 in the red zone. They must have won that game. But the defense looked awful. 49ers put up 483 total yards, 7.9 yards per play. The pass rush didn't record a sack, did nothing out there. Niners went 5 of 12 on third down, 3 of 5 in the red zone. Chanot returned a kick, 97 yards for a touchdown. Uchenna Nwosu, outside linebacker, is now on injured reserve with the thigh injury. He missed the first 4 games of the regular season with the sprained knee. He played 20 snaps in the loss to the Giants before he got hurt again, and now they've put him on the IR. They're already missing how many George Fant out offense, and now Abraham Lucas dealing with a knee injury and won't play this week. So 2 huge pieces of the offensive line gone. Their cornerback Reek Woolen and first-round pick Byron Murphy were inactive last week and are listed as questionable to play this week. So we have excuses for why the running game is not succeeding if the offensive line is if their best pieces on the offensive line are banged up. Let's talk about the Falcons here. Passing offense is 6th in the league at 254.7 yards per game. Rushing offense, 21st at 113.7. Red zone offense and third down offense, not very good. Both 23rd in the league, 45.5 in the red zone, 34.4% of the time they're successfully getting first downs on third down. Their pass defense, 9th in the league at 193 yards per game, but their rush defense is bad, just like the Seahawks rush defense. Both these rush defenses are so bad. 25th in the league is the Falcons, allowing 142.7 yards rushing per game. I mean, if we're going by season-long statistics, there's going to be just under 300 yards rushing in this football game. Red zone defense, 15th in the league at 52.4%. And their third down defense, the Atlanta Falcons' third down defense, is second worst in the entire NFL, allowing 48.1% of the time conversions. Falcons come in off an easy 38-20 victory at Carolina, their third win over an NFC South opponent in the last 3 weeks. Offense puts up 423 yards. They had 8 appearances in the red zone. I don't remember ever writing that, ever. I don't remember ever writing it. 8 appearances in the red zone. They cashed on 4 of them. So a week after throwing 58 passes for a franchise record 509 yards, Kirk Cousins goes 19 of 30 for 225, a touchdown, no interceptions. Drake London caught 6 for 74 and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts caught 3 for 7 yards. What we see now is the playmakers on the Falcons are eating. They're happy. They're eating. They all have a plate. The ground game was excellent. Tyler Algier ran 18 times for 105 yards, touchdown. Bijan Robinson ran 15 times for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the pass rush didn't record a sack. They did get interceptions from Phillips and A.J. Terrell. The Panthers were 5 of 11 on third down and 2 of 3 in the red zone. They lose their safety, Micah Abernathy. He hurts his knee early in the first quarter. He's ruled out for the remainder of the game, and he's been put on IR. And their linebacker, Troy Anderson, missed his second straight game, and he's a great linebacker. He's listed as questionable to go this week. Take it away for us here, Troy. Seahawks, Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
That's a huge piece, actually. Troy Anderson. I have some notes on him, but he is a massive piece to what the Falcons defense is. And I'll make a couple points about what I think of the Falcons defense, mainly, or what the bookies think of the Falcons defense, more like. This one is extremely tough for me. I mean, you guys know I want to fade the Seahawks. I think they're overrated defense, especially coming into week 1, and it was overrated for no reason other than the defensive coordinator. A terrible O-line, probably with a quarterback that struggles to take what the defense gives him, which should give you a bunch of hesitation if you're looking to back the Seahawks, because that's exactly the type of defense the Falcons want to play. Now, they're only 15th in red zone defense, and I want to dig deeper into the red zone numbers because they're bending all the way down the field. Like you said, third down defense, where they're at. it's non-existent, right? They're giving up third downs. So I think we got to look into some more of the metrics on what their red zone defense, or I guess, in their own territory, how their defense looks. And, this matchup, I think currently looking at it at face value, it looks like it has Seattle written all over it. It's hard to exploit a bad pass blocking offensive line who grades out 30th and, who grades out basically 30th in the NFL against a pass rush who's applying pressure at the 31st rate in the NFL. They can't get pressure on the quarterback. Geno Smith will have time to find his weapons. And Atlanta's run defense is exploitable. Chuba Hubbard went for 5 yards per carry. The run D ranks out 20th and is dropping every freaking week that Troy Anderson sits. He's a huge piece to this defense. You need him back if you want to back ATL, in my opinion. And I really believe Atlanta's offense is finally, after years with all this talent, they're starting to find their stride. And I just think there's too many signs suggesting that the Seahawks are the right side in this matchup. Based on the matchups we already discussed, this market moving from 3 to 2.5. Falcons coming off 3 wins with a divisional game on deck against Tampa Bay. I've been doing too much digging probably into the weeds of this line when it opens at 3 and it ticks down to 2.5, or just any movement right around these key numbers, especially when numbers are opening very close to these key numbers, 5.5, 6.5, 3, right? What happens in these markets? And I say it sometimes and I really mean it. And like one day, I wish I could show some examples of what I'm talking about here, because when the line opens at 3 and it ticks down to 2.5, it moves towards the road team. Like, it opened at 3 for a reason, because those teams where it opened at 3 got down to 2.5, home team, line moving away from them. They're 10-4 ATS over the past 3 seasons. So you don't see it very often. But here's the thing about that sample. If you look at when the total is above 47, it's a completely different story. It flips. That 10-4 becomes a 3-1 in favor of the road team. So the high total is telling me that this Atlanta defense is extremely vulnerable and that Geno Smith is going to exploit it. Line moving that way, this is a very difficult matchup. Maybe I'd be able to get to the Falcons if we had a lower total, if we can count on some defense from the favorite, but we can't in this situation. So I'm off this spot. It's a really tough spot.
It's a really tough spot. Al Cervix saying all I'm hearing is over. I mean, this went up to 51.5, came back to 50.5. It's a very high total.
That's the thing, though, man. These totals at 50 and above are too high in the NFL. And I know we see a lot of these. We've seen a ton of overs this past week. I'd be very reluctant to hop on an over, especially one over 50. And just because of just what history says about these totals over 50.
Al Cervic liking the over here in this one. Spenny Penny Bombs looking at Walker rush yards over and Mooney over receiving yards. Dougie White says Seattle or nothing for me. Birdie's already bet Seattle. Birdie's on Seattle +3 in the Seahawks money line. Says no team needed to break more than the Seahawks. The 10 days matter. If Falcons don't get pressure, Geno eats. Falcons off 2 division game next week.
But that's the thing about this matchup, is I keep going back, is that he cannot just continuously take what the defense gives him. He always forces it. He always, shoots the offensive drives in the foot, because he doesn't take. He's too ambitious. I don't know what it is. His IQ is not there.
Dougie Wise saying the Falcons have literally the worst pass rush in the NFL, which will help Geno very much. I sit here and feel this is just a coin flippy situation, that the game will be settled on, a pass bouncing off a hand and picked off by the opposition. I can understand you guys moving on the Seahawks. I get it. Situationally, with the extra rest that they needed. The Falcons, winning 3 straight in division and facing the Bucs. I get it, but I don't want it. I don't want the Seahawks here 3 or less on the road. I certainly don't want the Falcons in this situation. So I guess you're right. It'd be Seahawks or nothing. And I guess I do have some interest in the over. The problem is the red zone defenses here aren't bad at all. So we know that the running game's awful, so there'll be first downs nonstop, but you have a red zone defense from the Seahawks that's 13th in the league, the red zone defense from the Falcons that's 15th in the league. So it's not like it's just going to be easy going. Now we know that the third down defense from the Seahawks is actually quite good, 8th in the league. It's the Falcons' third down defense that is like an Achilles heel for them. Look, I get it. I completely get it. I have some interest in the over. I don't know if I'm going to get there. I'll be curious to see what happens with this line.
I wonder if you looked at Geno Smith. I mean, I'm thinking Bertie brought up a point that, Geno is bad against good defensive fronts. But I personally, coming into this cabin and thinking about what I've seen from Geno over the years and how he's succeeded versus teams like I said, Cleveland, and who else did I say? Detroit, right? Where he just burns Detroit, even though they had a great defensive front too. I think it's like you give him more time to think and get in his own head instead of react and be an athlete. He can't do it. Like I don't know. I'm going to do some research into it, Bertie. That's interesting.
No action from either Troy or myself in Seattle, Atlanta, and we roll on. Thank you guys so much for joining us here. Bankroll Blitz Season 2, Week 7. We move on to 1 p.m. Eastern. The Tennessee Titans 1-4, 1-1 on the road at the Buffalo Bills 4-2, 2-0 at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. 64 Fahrenheit, sunny, 13-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history here for Titans Bills. We will start with the total. This total's at 40.5. It's minus 110 to the over. This opened up at 41.5. We have dropped 1 point on the total. And in the spread, we are sitting here with the Buffalo Bills at 8.5. It's an 8 here at Pinnacle, but it's minus 118 to the Bills. So it is in reality, an 8.5. This opened up minus 8, minus 106 is now minus 8, minus 118. A 12-cent move towards these Buffalo Bills. When we get to the cash flow here for this one, we have 83% of the tickets and 80% of the cash on the Buffalo Bills, 9% of the tickets and 48% of the cash on the under. That's very, very appealing. 66 Slammy. That one that got me. That got me last night. Watching Zerline miss 2 field goals. Got me. Just got me. It got me. I'm still affected by it. Let's talk about the Titans first, though. Their passing offense, as you would imagine, 31st in the NFL, 135 yards per game. Their rushing offense, 15th at 118.2 yards per game, despite DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. When you watch the Titans play, it's just Tony Pollard. You're like, he's the only weapon that I see out there. It's too bad. And we'll get into more of the stats around their wide receivers here in a second. Their red zone offense is 12th in the league at 61.5%. They have playmakers. Their third down offense, 30th in the league. No surprise there, 29.3%. This is the number one ranked just for yards allowed pass defense in the NFL, 137 yards per game. Their rush defense, 9th, 111.8 per game. We knew this defense was going to be very good, and they've statistically proven that. Red zone defense, 4th in the league, allowing touchdowns 40% of the time. Their third down defense, 5th in the league, allowing conversions 31.8% of the time. Titans come in off a 2017 home loss to the Colts. Levis had yet another anemic performance at quarterback, 16-27 for 95 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He now has 7 picks on the season. DeAndre Hopkins led receivers with 4 catches for 54 yards. No one else caught for more than 19. And it was Calvin Ridley that was just, when you were watching this, he was targeted 8 times. He had 0 catches. 8 targets, 0 catches. Tony Pollard, 17 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. Titans finished with just 241 total yards, 4 of 11 on third down. And the lone offensive bright spot has been all year is their red zone offense. They were 2 for 2 in the red zone. The defense is as always, did their best to keep the Titans in the game. You know, the Colts had 4.1 yards per play, and I know this was a beat-up Colts team, with their backup quarterback and their backup running back, and they lose their center again, but that's not bad. 4.1 yards per play. It was a nice job. They held them to 1 of 3 in the red zone. Now, the pass rush was held without a sack. Amani Hooker did have a pick, and they lose Tyjae Spears. He hurt his hamstring. He is week to week and will not be available this Sunday. Let's get into the Buffalo Bills. Their passing offense is much weaker than we had imagined. And I know that they don't have the weapons at wide receiver, and Khalil Shakir it came back last week and was clearly not 100%. just 186.3 yards per game for this passing offense. Rushing offense, 11th in the league, 126.7 yards per game. Their red zone offense, very good. Josh Allen, the quarterback, such a dynamic weapon. They're 6th in the league, 68.2%. Third down offense, 24th in the league at 34.3%. Now, we can explain that. A couple of their losses have been bad blowouts, and they've had wins where they've been way ahead and not put their foot on the gas in the second half. So I don't think that that they have a bad third down offense, despite those stats. A pass defense, 15th in the league. They allow 210.7 yards through the air. Rush defense, 23rd in the league, allowing 140.2 yards per game. That's a bit of a surprise. Red zone defense, 9th in the league at 45.5%. Their third down defense, 22nd in the league, 42.3%. So the Bills are on a short week after their 23-20 victory at the Jets on Monday night. Win snapped their 2-game losing streak. They've never lost 3 straight with Josh Allen starting at quarterback. Allen was 19-25 for 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. With James Cook out of the lineup, Ray Davis was excellent. Rookie out of Kentucky, 20 carries for 97 yards. He caught 3 passes for 55 yards, and that 1 catch was an absolute thing of beauty. Dalton Kincaid caught 6 passes for 51 yards. The offense had 24 first downs, 5-11 on third down, 3 of 4 in the red zone. The Bills' defense bent but didn't break. The Jets put up 393 total yards and 6.7 yards per play and scored 20 points. The Bills held them when it counted. The Jets were 4-12 on third down, 1-4 in the red zone. But this is a pass rush without Ed Oliver, without Von Miller, but still 3 sacks and 5 quarterback hits. A.J. Epinesa continues to look good. He had 2 sacks, and Taron Johnson had an interception. Take it away for us, Troy. Titans, Bills, Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. Bills on a short week. Can they cover this kind of a margin?
I don't know how much I want to get into these 2 damn teams right here. This might be just one of those games I just need to let go. I mean, I bet against the Bills all 6 times this season. I'm 3-3. I bet on the Titans 3 times this season. I'm 0-3. I feel like it's 2 teams I just don't have a read on. This goes back 2 years in a row now. I mean, what Tennessee did off the bye week was despicable. They not being able to win after watching the Colts and how they performed, it's pretty much unacceptable. Levis is not the answer. The receivers aren't getting open. I know I don't want to put it all on Levis because I think there's a lot more going on around him. It's just nothing's going right for this damn team, man. L'Jarius Sneed's the worst DB in the NFL since when? I mean, that's what it's saying. Goddamn, I want to be on the Titans in this spot. But after seeing what I've seen, and, a trusted companion of mine is on a teaser, a team that I like a lot in the Lions, and I'm going to tease it with the Bills because he feels very strong about the spot. So I teased the Lions, Bills, got Bills down to 2.5 and the Lions up to 8.5. 1 dog, 1 favorite. Preferably, you want to be playing dogs on teasers, not favorites. If you look at history, if history is any indication of what the future will be, that's the right way to approach it. This is a game that I can't get involved in the spread without, cheating a little bit.
So that was Lions plus 8.5 and Bills minus 1.5?
Bills minus 2.5.
2.5, okay. And that's a minus 120 spot.
Minus 120.
I would love to back the Titans. I'd love to, but they're just burning money for me. They're just costing me money. And how many times are you going to keep losing the same way? How many times are you going to keep?
I'm sick of getting berated with insults every time I back the Titans and lose, man. It's how it feels right now, which makes me like low key. Old me would want to just go right back in, man.
I want to. Ron Crawford says spreadsheet puke Tennessee. So the spreadsheet. Look, I really want to. I really want to back the Titans here.
What's the money line price on this game? Just curious. This is a plus 360-ish on the Titans.
Yeah, plus 338 to plus 170. It's plus 370.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I might play the Titans in a round robin, to be honest. I know I have that action. Maybe I'll play something small. I mean, the last round robin I did, it was 1 unit total, right? 3 dogs, 1 full unit. So it's like 33% of a unit on each individual parlay. This might make the slip, man.
And yes, the cappers in the chat talking about the trade that went down today. Browns have traded Amari Cooper to the Bills. That will be very, very helpful. The Bills are releasing Marquez Valdes-Scantling to create spot for Amari Cooper.
I got to say something on that while that's fresh in everyone's mind. The trade, Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams. So what I noticed about that trade is one line moved significantly. The Bengals, after Amari Cooper was traded away, when the Bills acquired Devontae Adams, I think the line moved against them. I mean, what that's telling me is that these trades are overhyped. They're already priced into the lines to some extent, but more importantly, now I forgot my goddamn point, Jim. God damn it!
It's okay.
God damn it, dude! I've been up for you know the grind, bro.
Yeah, no, I know the grind well. Yeah, it's the Bills have Cooper, Jets have.
Here it is. Here it is. I got it. The line moved significantly for the Bengals. It didn't move at all for the Bills. What that tells me is the freaking Browns. The Browns are fucking tanking. They're giving up. They're throwing in the towel. They're starting Deshaun Watson because they want to lose. So I this trade exemplifies what their course of action this season is going to be.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very interesting point. A very interesting point. So yeah, do we think that Amari Cooper is a good addition for the Bills? They desperately need him. So and getting him out of Cleveland, I mean, we saw what he's capable of doing when in that first year after he left Dallas. So, all right, we're going to roll on here, but if I was just left to my own devices, I would have real interest back in the Titans here. I think they can stay in this football game. But you just can't keep losing the same way, So I'm off. I'm off there. Let's roll on. But I might end up on the Titans. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like there's something about the Bills on a short week like this. The Bills to win by margin. We saw. From. Let's go to Tyrone Tracy. Now, I know Tyrone Tracy was caught for 50-plus yards, but of course he wasn't going to follow that great game, that second week in a row being the number one back. And are we going to sit here and expect Ray Davis just to be a monster again this week? I find it very difficult. Londo saying do it. I'm, interested in it.
In this market, Jim, I got a road team covers 8 out of 13. They win 5 out of 13. That's a 38% win rate, and you only need 22% to break even on the money line. I mean, this is obviously ATS, right? You need 52%. You're at 61%. You get a little bit more, equity, a little more value on the money line, in my opinion.
I'm interested. Londo trying to push me there. I'm interested. I'm going to take a little bit more time on that one. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern with the Cincinnati Bengals, 2-4, 2-1 on the road at Cleveland Browns, 1-5, 0-2 at home, Huntington Bank Field in Cleveland, Ohio. Beautiful weather in Cleveland this week. Beautiful weather in North America this week coming up. A cold day today, but it's going to get warmer everywhere. 65 Fahrenheit, sunny, 7 miles per hour. Let's get into the line history of Bengals Browns here. It was just spoken about here with the cappers in the chat. We have the Browns right now at +6. +6. They opened up at +5. The look ahead, before games on Sunday was 3.5, and we now have the 6. Let's get to the total here. This total is at 42 minus 113 to the under. Opened up at 43, dropped to 42, and it's juiced to the under, so we can expect a 41.5 incoming. Drewski says Bengals smash. Nate Dogg on Cincinnati. Londo on the Bengals -6 with confidence. Let's get into the cash flow here for the Bengals spot. We have 80% of the tickets, 73% of the cash on the Bengals. Browns have 20 and 27. 81% of the tickets and 84% of cash on the over, and we saw it drop once again. Interesting. The Bengals passing offense, 7th in the league, 249.7 yards per game. Rushing offense, 26th, 100.2. Red zone offense, 10th in the league, at 64.7%. Third down offense, 5th in the league, 45.8%. No one's worrying about the Bengals offense. It's their defense. Their pass defense, 14th in the league, allowing 210 yards a game. Their rush defense, horrible. They allow 146 yards per game on the ground. Their red zone defense, 24th in the league, allowing touchdowns 65% of the time. And their third down defense, 26th in the league, allowing conversions 44.7% of the time. Bengals coming off a 17-7 win at the Giants, 13 first downs in the victory. And it was more than enough. Joe Burrow was 19 of 28 for 208 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He also ran 4 times for 55 yards and a touchdown. Had that incredible longest run of his career for that opening touchdown. T. Higgins led receivers with 7 catches for 77 yards. Jamar Chase got 5 for 72. Chase Brown ran 10 for 53 and a touchdown. The Bengals only had 1 red zone attempt. It was a failed attempt. They only had 1, got down there once. Bengals defense looked strong for the first time all season, allowing 7 points, a welcome reprieve for a defense that came in ranked 31st in the league in scoring. Despite allowing 24 first downs, the Giants only had 4.2 yards per play. They held the Giants to 5 of 15 on third down and 1 of 2 in the red zone. Trey Hendrickson had both the Bengals sacks, and Jermaine Pratt had an interception. Let's get into Cleveland here. Passing offense, 30th in the league, 143 passing yards a game. Rushing offense, 28th in the league, 97.2 yards per game. Now, do we expect Nick Chubb to be back in the lineup this week? I do. Is that fair to assume at this point? I think that we expect Nick Chubb to be the running back for the Browns and to help them enormously in that area. They're a red zone offense, 7th in the league, 66.7%. We knew that was sort of a fake stat. They're never in the red zone, and they were 6 for 6 to start the year. Their third down offense, last in the league. They get conversions 19.2% of the time. Less than 1 of every 5 third downs they cash. Pass defense, 11th in the league, 196.3 yards per game. Rush defense, 21st, 137.3 yards per game. Red zone defense, 16th, 52.6%. Third down defense, 13th at 35% of the time. Birdie says Browns money line for me, favorite bet of the week. He's the first person to say that because Benjamin Mills saying Bengals by 3 scores. Browns come in off a 2016 loss at Philadelphia. Deshaun Watson struggled again, 16 to 23 for 168 yards. Browns still haven't scored 20 points in the game all season. They got their only touchdown, a blocked field goal by Myles Garrett. Rodney McLeod Jr. picked it up, went to the house. Watson was sacked 3 times. He threw for 49 yards in the first half. I mean, it's just horrible. Amari Cooper led receivers for 4 catches for 42 yards. He's a Buffalo Bill now. Pierre Strong led the ground game with 8 carries for 43 yards, but Chubb will be back, and good thing, man. Got hurt week 2 of the 2023 season for his left ACL, MCL, and PCL. Let's get him back on the field. Remember, it's the same knee that he hurt in Georgia in 2015. Like seeing him get back on the field. He returned to practice for the Browns on October 2nd. So they have until October 23rd to activate him. And we all expect him to play this week. The offense only put up 244 total yards, had 1 failed attempt in the red zone, 3 of 12 on third down. The pass rush continues to struggle. 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits. I mean, if you can double up on Myles Garrett, no one else is going to hurt you. The defense, though, has been good this year, and they tried to keep the Browns in it. Held the Eagles to 5 of 14 on third down, 0 of 1 in the red zone. Despite allowing the Eagles to rack up 372 total yards, the Eagles only had 1 foray into the red zone. Now, there's more problems. Nick Harris, their center, because Ethan Pocic with the knee injury. Nick Harris, a fractured tibia. He's going on the IR. So now your third stringer, Michael Dunn, comes in. This is bad news. You're already out Grant Delpit and Ronnie Hickman, 2 safeties. Jerome Ford suffered a hamstring injury. He's week to week, not going to be in the lineup this week, so they really need Nick Chubb in. Take it away, Troy. It's fascinating. You have a whole bunch of cappers in the chat saying that the Bengals are going to smash, and then you have Birdie saying, give me the Browns money line and the Browns on the spread. Take it away. Bengals, Browns.
I mean, God, I'm confused. I shouldn't have read the chat. While you were. Well, damn it. God damn it, chat. Why you guys got to do this to me sometimes? And I was heavy on the Bengals last week. The market was bullish. Burrow back against the wall, must-win spot. And I think we do have another backs against the wall type of game here. It's a must-win spot for one team, not for the other team. The issue for me with the Bengals is you look at what Burrow was able to do or what he's done historically in Cleveland. He's 0-3, losing on average by 15 points. 2 of them were 20-point blowouts. You know, Cleveland offensive line is starting to get more healthy. Nick Chubb could be coming back. The defense is still graying out. It's top 5 in the NFL currently. And Deshaun Watson, yeah, he's terrible. But he hasn't thrown a pick in 2 weeks. So I think that's a huge improvement from him. And he's up against a vulnerable defense, obviously, what we've seen from the Bengals. I mean, 1 week is not enough to say that this Bengals team is turning the page on what they've showed for the first 4 weeks. And if Cleveland can find success in the run game, there's a path to victory for this team, clearly. I mean, they're 1-5 right now with a really tough schedule. I mean, this is one where I really believe if it wasn't for the news on Amari Cooper, I wouldn't have moved on it. But as soon as I heard that news come through, I moved on a teaser with the Bengals involved. And if you look at the history of this market, it's funny because I was getting so bullish on the Browns. I have most of my notes here. I don't want to even go into them because I'm not betting the Browns anymore. This is a one-way action for me. I want nothing to do with the Browns. I think the writing's on the wall of what that trade means for this organization right now. And if you look at the history, I mean, people say you want to back home dogs, especially in division. Well, that might be true if you look at it from a 1,000-foot view. But there's different price ranges where things completely different. And in this price range between 6 and 7, divisional home dogs, line moving away from them, do not win games. They do not cover games. They don't even come close in football games. I'm expecting this to be double digits, but I might have to move on the spread. I did move on the teaser. I paired it with the Lions. I'm very confident the Lions keep that game close, and I think the Bengals win this game. So right now, just put me with the teaser, Jim, -120. I got the Bengals -0.5 and the Lions +8.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit with all this. I want to. They're all really excited about having Chubb on the field. I mean, is it possible that Amari was just sulking, didn't want to be with this club, and getting him off and out of the room is a positive?
Are we absolutely certain that Chubb's going to be in the game? This
Well,
line was at a hard 5, juicing towards the Browns. Boom, he gets traded at 6.5.
only if there's a setback at practice this week, he's set to play.
I mean, I wanted to bet him. I was this close because I thought the same thing. But this line movement, it's just no way. Through the 6, no way.
Birdie with the final point says, love the Browns here. What a better way to alleviate negative noise than to beat a team you've beaten at home for the last 7 years. Absolutely wild. I'm going to need more time on this. I don't think it's a Bengal slam dunk spot by any means. I just don't. No
way.
There was a lot of issues. I mean, if you looked at that game against the Giants, their third down defense, that's 26th in the league. I mean, you let the Giants get 24 first downs on you. I mean, I just
And then when push came to shove, Daniel Jones had to make a pass on 4th down, made the completely wrong read, which we could 100% expect out of Deshaun Watson, who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns this week. The difference in that game was Burrow versus Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones missed multiple reads, and I felt the same way. And then I was like, oh, I got lucky. I was all excited. Then you go back and you watch the plays that happened in that game. I mean, there was a clear read. You had to throw a 5-yard out route to basically give your team a chance to win the game. He threw it. He didn't even he just misread. It was a complete misread. It was a simple read for a good quarterback. How can we expect anything different here?
No, Deshaun Watson is a huge problem. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
You know how bullish I was on this damn Browns team.
Oh, yeah. And you made cash off him a lot last year.
I did. I'm 0 for 2 backing him this year. And after what he's putting on film this year is way worse than what he was putting on film last year.
Agreed.
Way worse.
And we thought that it was going to improve once he got comfortable, which was wrong. We roll on. 1 p.m. Eastern, Houston Texans 5-1, 2-1 on the road. The Green Bay Packers 4-2, 2-1 at home. We're at Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. 66 Fahrenheit, sunny, 11 mile per hour winds. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We'll start with the total. It's at 47.5. It opened at 47.5. There was a 10-cent move on the under within the first 6 hours that this was available. Since then, there's been a 14-cent move back to the over. Overall, of course, that makes a 4-cent move to the over. 4-cent move to the over. Let's take a look at the point spread here for this one. On the spread, we have the Green Bay Packers -2.5 at -121. They opened up at 3 at even money. And within, again, the first 7 hours this was available, there was a 9-cent move towards the Texans, which turned this into a 2.5. When it first moved to 2.5, it was at minus 112, and now it's at minus 121. So again, this is very similar to the Seattle-Atlanta spot. It looks like at this point where the Texans are being hammered at 3, and the Packers are being hammered at 2.5. Let's get into the cash flow here for the Packers spot. We have, what's the wrong way here? We have 73% of the tickets, 79% of the cash on the Houston Texans, 83% of the tickets, and 97% of cash on the over. Mac Beaver saying that Stroud, a different player on the road. Nate Dogg, 420 leaning towards Green Bay. He's on the over. Nick on the Packers, -3. And Drewski on the Texans money line. So let's go. Texans, Packers. We're going to start with the Texans. They're passing offense 5th in the league at 256.3 yards a game. Their rushing offense 14th at 118.8. Red zone offense is the best in the league. They're scoring touchdowns 75% of the time. Their third down offense is 11th in the league, 41.5% of the time. Their pass defense is 4th in the league, allowing 163.2 yards per game through the air. Rush defense 13th. Their red zone defense is their problem at this point. Red zone defense 28th in the league, allowing touchdowns 68.8% of the time. And their third down defense 10th in the league, allowing conversions 34.2% of the time. Let's roll. Texans coming off a dominant 41-21 win at New England. Houston won at New England for the first time. It had been 0-7 at Gillette Stadium, including the playoffs. No Nico Collins. He's now on the IR with the hamstring injury. Stroud was 20-31 for 192 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Stephon Diggs caught 6 for 77 and a touchdown. Tank Dell stepped up to be the WR2. He caught 7 for 57 touchdown. Joe Mixon returned and looked very good. 13 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown. Caught 2 passes for 30 yards and a touchdown. What a difference the running game looks like with Mixon and Dameon Pierce both healthy. Pierce ran 8 times for 76 yards and a touchdown. The Texans, though, were just 4 of 11 on third down. That's a big, big weapon in Nico Collins that's not there for them. And they were a perfect 3 of 3 in the red zone. Will Anderson Jr. is coming into his own right now. We're watching it happen. 3 of the Texans, 4 sacks. Kalen Bullock and Eric Murray had interceptions. The defense held the Patriots to just 3 of 13 on third down and 1 red zone opportunity. This is the big question. Azeez Al-Shaair. When we watched him against the Bills, I don't remember a quarterback spying on Josh Allen as well as Shaair. And now Josh Allen still got his, but God, Shaair played. I thought it was just perfectly played. So he left in the first half with a knee injury. He's voted a team captain, $34 million 3-year contract. And he went back into the game, for a bit. He was running on the sidelines under supervision of trainers. We need to know what's going on with him. Texans starting linebacker Henry team's leading tackler. He's in concussion protocol. We need to see if they're available. If they are unavailable, we're talking about, backups like Hewitt, Jake Hansen, Delshon Phillips. Christian Harris has not been designated for a return yet because of his strained calf that's kept him out since training camp. You're already without Kamari Lassiter and Jimmy Ward, who are inactive. They're both listed as questionable this week. So again, we need to know what's going on with these 2 huge pieces of the Texans. But I tell you what, if Al-Shaair is not in the lineup, I don't know how we don't bet the Packers. That's how good he's been in the middle of the defense, in my estimation. Let's talk about these Packers. Their passing offense, 10th in the league, 232.8 yards per game. Rushing offense, 2nd, 167.2 yards per game. I know Malik Willis did help that out a lot. Red zone offense, 19th in the league at 50%. Third down offense, 16th in the league at 40.5%. Those are the numbers that were skewed negatively with the couple games that Malik played. Pass defense, 25th in the league. They're allowing 228.7 yards per game, but the rush defense is 8th. The red zone defense, 20th, and their third down defense, 16th. Allowing conversions 36.2% of the time. Packers coming off a dominant 34-13 victory at home over the Cardinals. Jordan Love, 22 of 32 for 258 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Christian Watson caught 3 for 68 and a touchdown. And Romeo Doubs, after serving that 1-game suspension for conduct detrimental to the team. He looked very good. Caught 3 passes, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs ran 18 times for 62 yards and caught 3 passes for 28 yards. He looks like a great fit for this football team. And the Packers put up 27 first downs and 437 total yards. They were 7 of 12 on third down. Now just 2 of 4 in the red zone. But when they're running the ball like this, when they're getting first downs when they want, they dominate time of possession. They had the ball for 36 minutes and 35 seconds. The defense forced 3 Cardinal fumbles that drastically changed the game, held Arizona to 4 of 10 on third down, just 1 of 3 in the red zone. Now, the pass rush was very quiet, 0 sacks and 1 quarterback hit. Dontavian Wicks left with a shoulder injury in the first half. He's week to week, so Dontavian Wicks will not be in the lineup this weekend. Take it away for us, Troy. Texans, Packers.
Here's another one where I've been waffling all day. I mean, they keep going back and forth. We know CJ Stroud's elite. He's the mobility, the accuracy, his ability to make post-snap reads. And the Texans ran the shit out of the ball last week, 7 yards per carry. I mean, if they're able to do that consistently, this team is the best offense in the league. And at full strength, I don't think it's even close. And I think that Diggs and Dell were more than enough for Stroud to work with once you had a week to prepare. And the offensive line is still one of the major issues. They allow way too many pressures. And I feel like, luckily CJ Stroud knows how to use his weapons, or this offensive line would be devastating. And my issue with this Texan team, really, the offensive line is what it is. CJ Stroud manages, but the defense, I mean, overall right now, this team is graded out as 17th and versus a very weak strength of schedule. Both these teams actually have, I think they're bottom 5 in strength of schedule. So we haven't seen these teams really tested to that extent yet. So who knows? I mean, both defenses are pretty much a wash. Drake May threw for 3 touchdowns in his first start with absolutely no weapons and no rushing attack, no Ramondre Stevenson. They fell down very, very quickly. I just think what Drake May did and what we've seen out of this Texans defense is not what it was all hyped up to be. And Jordan Love, LaFleur, this Packers offense, what are they about to do to him? I kind of sit with you, Jim. I think both these defenses are pretty much a wash until we see them play some legitimate competition. And I think we're going to find out a lot with this game. The offenses are pretty much equal once you take Nico out of the equation. But you have Stroud on the road with an inconsistent rushing attack that you can't bet on at this point. You could have belief in it, but you can't bet on it and say that you're for sure it's going to be there. And this Green Bay defense is weak, and they're light in the pants when it comes to run D. So, I mean, I think this is a Packer spot too. My question is, and where I'm kind of stuck is when I look at the sample of these teams that open at 3 and the line doesn't move more than a half a point. So it sticks right around this 3 number, which is exactly what we're going to see in this situation. You don't see any playoff teams on the road, right? I mean, this is typically when a line opens at 3, you typically see 2 bad teams or 2, below average teams. You don't see 2 teams that are priced like this in the market. So I think the open at 3 is a pretty strong indicator that the Packers are the right side.
I agree. I just want to know about Shair. I imagine when I was watching him on the sidelines, I guess he probably plays depending on what, you can wake up and the knee can be barking. So we'll have to see about that. But
he's that type of guy, man. He's probably going to be on the field, and he's a stud. He's an absolute stud. I mean, even back to Tennessee, what he was doing there, he was out of a really, really bad defense, he was the one bright spot. So really good point you're bringing up here. He's a very important. I mean, he's as important as Troy Anderson is to the Falcons. That's for sure.
I want the Packers. So I think I have to decide, do I want them even with Shair in the lineup? I want the Packers. I didn't realize that until breaking it down. You have Texans on, second straight road game. They just beat a fucking cupcake. And now they're going into Lambeau Field. And I don't put it past CJ Stroud to deliver here. I mean, he's capable of it, but you take off that big body speedster wide receiver, Nico Collins, and they're just not as good. So, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell. Look, Joe Mixon comes back from injury. Damian Pierce comes back from injury. Have great games against the Patriots defense that's much softer than we imagined. So I'm interested in the Packers here. And I just want to take a look at the cash flow one more time on the
thing
side.
is, man, it's like we're gonna find out so much about these teams. I know, like that's what we're doing. We're out here, we're gambling, we're true fucking gamblers. But at the same time, I mean, fuck. It's just I'm going back and forth because.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Thank you for the kind words, Sebastian. And Birdie saying Texans are just so good with those healthy backs. They traded Cam Akers today, so they think the running backs are healthy. Man, this game is tough. You can run on the Packers. So tough.
I know, and all the money's coming in on Houston. 73% of bets, 79% of the cash is on the Texans spread.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you it's probably a little bit flipped on the money line. It is. Packers on the money line, 65% of bets, 43% of the money. I mean, but the sharp action is not going to be back in the Green Bay spread in this case at 2.5.
I think that if the Texans can finish this portion of their schedule 6-1, I'll be wrong. I'll just sit back and be wrong, and that's fine. I'm going to bet the Packers.
I'll probably have them in a money line parlay as well, Jim.
It's going to be a great game, no doubt about it. All right, let's roll on. Shout out to Mel in the house. You always give us such great info, Mel. Love capping with you. Let's roll. 1 p.m. Eastern. Miami Dolphins 2-3, 1-1 on the road at the Indianapolis Colts. 3-3, 2-1 at home. We're at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. Let's get into the line history here to get us started. We have these Colts minus 3.5 at plus 107. They opened up at -4 at minus 106. Then this moved to 3.5. When it first was at 3.5, it was minus 104. Now it's plus 107, which means that, they're threes. They're going to be threes. Now these threes will be juiced towards the Colts, and you'll get the fish at, a plus money, no vig type situation. But the line moving clearly towards the fish. Take a look at the total here. Go back to Pinnacle. This total is sitting at 44 minus 113 to the over. Opened up at 42.5. We have a 1.5 move. That's basically a 2-point move as this is juiced to the over. And we expect to see 44.5 here shortly. Take a look at the cash flow for this spot. Let me grab it here. Sorry. The cash flow for Fish Colts. There we go. We have 75% of tickets, 77% of cash on the Colts. 82% of tickets and 71% of cash on the over. Dolphins, Colts. We're going to start with these Dolphins. And, I don't know how much I really want to get into their offensive statistics. Look, we know they're terrible. And we think that Tagovailoa, who was concussed in week 2 against Buffalo and placed on IR, he's not eligible to return until week 8, but it sounds like he's going to come back in week 8. But this is not week 8. This is week 7, so Snoop Huntley expected to be at quarterback here. This passing offense, 26th in the league. Rushing offense, 18th in the league. I mean, it's hard to run when you can't pass. Then you load the box up. Red zone offense, 31st in the league. Third down offense, 29th in the league. It's ugly stuff. Their pass defense, 3rd in the league at 159.6 yards allowed. Their rush defense, 18th at 125.8 yards allowed. Their red zone defense is 25th in the league, allowing touchdowns 66.7% of the time. And the surprise of the day is that their third down defense is the best in the league. I did not expect to see that 25.5% conversion rate for the opposition. Dolphins coming off their bye week, last seen that 15-10 win at New England in week 5. And it's, we have a vividness bias of this offense putting up 400 yards a game last year. They score 12 points per game this year. I mean, it's just it's a big difference. Now, yes, I think they have a better chance at succeeding with Huntley than with Skylar Thompson, but this is an absolute mess. They were averaging 97.8 yards per game, and that on the ground. And Raheem Mostert, their leading rusher from 2023, was out with a chest injury, and they were able to run on the Patriots. They ran the ball 41 times for 193 yards. Now, Achane is still wearing a non-contact jersey in practice. He's still in concussion protocol, but we expect Achane to be out there, I think. Javon Holland, week to week with a fractured hand, their safety. That's a big loss. And Mike McDaniel said Bradley Chubb is not coming back this week. They're still hoping he comes back next week. They need him now that Jalen Phillips is back on the IR with the knee injury. Let's talk about these Colts. Passing offense, 15th in the league at 219.2 yards per game. Rushing offense, 17th at 117.7. Red zone offense, 15th. Third down offense, 8th. Their pass defense, look at these stats. Their pass defense, 26th in the league, allowing 234.3 yards per game. Their rush defense, second last in the league, allowing 155.2 yards per game. Their red zone defense, 27th in the league, allowing touchdowns 68.4% of the time. Their third down defense, 28th in the league, allowing conversions 45.4% of the time. It's a bad defense, a really bad defense. They got Kenny Moore and Kwity Payback, and it still did not look good against Will Levis and the Titans. Now, they got the win coming off 2017 victory at Tennessee. Flacco was 22 at 38 for 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. But Shane Steichen has said that Richardson will start against the Dolphins, barring a setback in practice this week. Josh Downs led receivers to 7 catches for 66 yards and touchdown. Nice to see him back healthy. And Michael Pittman played despite the back injury. He caught 3 for 35 and the game-winning TD. Jonathan Taylor out with the high ankle sprain. He says that it's a mild high ankle sprain, so he may be able to return this week. They need him. Tyler Goodson ran 8 times for 51 yards, but Trey Sermon was RB1, and he struggled. 18 carries for 29 yards. Colts are just 1 of 3 in the red zone, but they were 7 and 15 on third down. And as I said, they got Kenny Moore and Kwity Payback. They held the Titans to just 241 yards. Titans were 4 of 11 on third down, but the Titans went 2 of 2 in the red zone. The pass rush held without a sack. We've seen that a lot this year. Julian Blackmon had an interception, and Ryan Kelly tried to return from injury, but he left the game with a calf injury. He's listed as questionable to play this week. Take it away, Troy. Dolphins, Colts.
You know, when I see these home teams now open at 3.5, 4.5, I get excited. It opens the door for one of the market profiles I love, and that's the sharp trap. I've cashed so frequently the past 2 seasons. It's starting to be something I'm leaning on and talking about more because the sample's starting to grow. The problem is I don't like fading these teams where they're just left to dead by the public and the general gambling community. Nobody wants Miami. We have a terrible offense versus a terrible defense. Tyler Huntley has been incompetent this entire season so far. I think the system is more of the issue rather than Tyler Huntley's ability to, perform. I think it's hard for a guy like McDaniels. I don't know. I talked about him being on hard drugs. I'm dead at serious when I talk like that, because if you watch the difference in interviews year over year, you'll see something's wrong with this man. I mean, he has a system that's built around Tua, around himself and what he wants to do. He hasn't adjusted. They have all the weapons in the world. Tyler Huntley can make this offense work, especially more than they have been working. They could function more efficiently. They just got to put it together. And the Colts defense, this is confusing to me, and you see this sometimes, and I figured out what it is. So when you have a team like the Colts, whose defense has been pretty much garbage this entire year, just Swiss cheese, but you look on PFF, they're actually grading out as 13th in the NFL. And here's why that is. That tells me that the coaching, the scheme, it's a schematic flaw rather than the team's ability to perform or to do their jobs or their assignments that they're being asked to do. That's what that's telling me. And you've seen that quite frequently over the years. And it could either say one thing or the other. This one's telling me that, this is bad coaching. They don't make adjustments. They sit in cover 3, 1 high, in zone coverage way too often. It's easy to play against. And I expect, I kind of expect Tyler Huntley in this offense to be ready for a defense like this. It's just hard. It's just hard for me to move on the Dolphins again. I bet the Dolphins a few times this season. I haven't won. Then you look at the foundation of this game. Is Tyler Huntley going to gain momentum with all the weapons he has and this mastermind offensive coordinator? Is McDaniels going to cater to his quarterback? Is Richardson going to play? I'm just struggling to put all these pieces together, Jim. So I need more information. I want to be on the Dolphins, and because I think this line's going to 3. And as long as we get to that 3 number, then I'll feel confident and moving on it.
Dolphins are clearly the sharp side. I don't know if I have the balls to back them. I'm not going to fade what I consider a clear sharp side. So this comes down to Dolphins, or nothing. And it could very easily just be nothing here. This total has climbed up 42.5 to basically a 44 or 44.5. Do you agree with this move towards the over?
Yes, I agree with this move towards the over. I think the over is very live in this game, and I think the 44 tells us that the Colts defense is susceptible. The Dolphins are going to be able to put up some points, especially with the line moving this way. And the history of this market would say back the Dolphins, back the over.
I get it, but I don't know. I mean, I'll put this in my notes to sit and stare at, but I don't know if I have the balls to move on either of them. But they both sort of make sense with Richardson being back.
All right. You know what? From what I've seen, I'm moving on it. Ron Crawford's on it. Birdie Birdie's on it. This is enough for me. The database bears this out. This is headed to a 3. I think. The sharps are on it, and I trust the Dolphins defense. What I've seen out of the Dolphins defense is, they're a quality defense. The Colts are going to be stepping up in class, in my opinion. I guess the Titans are pretty good, but overall, from what they've seen defensively.
I get it. Troy moving here on the Dolphins, and I guess you're going to get the pay for the 3.5.
No, I'm gonna play a 3 at plus. What kind of 3 can I get here? I'm good with a 3. I have no problem taking the 3. I don't want the 120 here. I got a 3 at plus 100. You can just give me that. That's fine.
All right. We're locked and loaded. Nunya in the house. Nice to see you, Nunya. Jared, TG, Dirty Reg, Billy, Friedrich, Key Game Outside, Alex. Thank you guys for rolling with us. Benjamin Mills, Tommy Dimes, Sammy Culmer, Mac Beavers. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Let's roll. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern with the Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings. An absolute beauty in the NFC North. All 4 teams above 500, 6 games into the year. Lions 4-1, 2-0 on the road. Vikings 5-0, 3-0 at home. US Bank Stadium, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let's get into the line history here. This total is at 50, minus 108 to the over. This opened up at 51.5. This opened up at 51.5 on Sunday night. Opens up at 51.5, drops down to 49. And 49 was the low water mark at 11:09 a.m. yesterday. And then it climbs back up to 50. So we have a half-point move towards the under. Let's get into the spread for this one. We have the Detroit Lions. And this line is all over the place. Right now, this opened up at plus 1 for the Lions at minus 106. And within less than an hour, there was a 10-cent move, actually an 11-cent move towards the Vikings. So they're still showing us just a plus 1 at plus 106, but you can look around the marketplace and it's clear that the Lions are a plus 2 or a plus 2.5 in the marketplace. So the line is moving towards these Minnesota Vikings. Take a look at the cash flow here for this one. We have 86% of the tickets and 91% of the cash on the Detroit Lions. And this is 11,617 tickets in, so people are betting this. Then 86% tickets, 86% cash on the over. Judging by the market alone, it sounds like a Vikings spot. But let's talk about it. Talk about the Detroit Lions passing offense, 4th in the league, 258.2 yards per game. Rushing offense, 4th in the league, 157.8 yards per game. Red zone offense, 16th in the league at 56.5%. Third down offense, 7th in the league, 44.8%. Impressive numbers. Then we have their pass defense, bad, 27th in the league, 246.2 yards a game. We broke down last week, what's happening with them, how bad Terry and Arnold looks at times. Their DBs are getting burnt. Rush defense, and there's nothing they can do about it. There's no one waiting in the wings to come and save them. Rush defense is 3rd in the league, 83.2 yards per game allowed. Red zone defense, 10th in the league at 46.7%. And their third down defense being very good this year, 2nd at 29.6%. Conversion rate. The issue, of course, is Aiden Hutchinson, done for the year, fractured left tibia and fibula, out 4 to 6 months. Then they lose Kyle Peko, defensive tackle, undergoing surgery for his torn pectoral muscle, likely missing the rest of the season. So you lose Hutchinson and Peko from that front group. Lions coming off a dominant 47-9 victory at Dallas. It was the Cowboys' worst home loss since 1988. The Lions have scored at least 40 points in consecutive games for the first time since 1962. They outgained the Cowboys 492-251. Jared Goff was 18 of 25 for 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Second quarterback with a passer rating of at least 150 in back-to-back starts ever. Drew Brees was the other one in 2018. That's it. 2 guys have done it. That's how good Goff is throwing right now, or how good the offense is working within what Goff can do, utilizing his skill set. Jameson Williams led receivers with 3 catches for 76 yards touchdown, because we saw what Goff looks like when he throws 55 passes. They lose. But when they throw, between 18 and 25 passes, they win and put up big numbers. Jameson Williams led receivers 3 catches for 76 yards touchdown. Cleve Raymond caught 4 for 73. The Montgomery Gibbs 1-2 punches, very good. Montgomery ran 12 times for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Gibbs ran 12 times for 63 yards. The defense looked excellent. Held the Cowboys to just 251 total yards and 3.9 yards per play, the lowest of any team last week. Pass rush looked strong. They sacked Prescott 4 times and hit him 11 times. Branch had 2 interceptions. Kirby Joseph had 1. Cowboys were just 3 of 13 on third down, 0 of 3 in the red zone. How will this defense change without Hutchinson and without Paco? Move on to the Minnesota Vikings, coming in off their bye week. Passing offense 19th in the league at 207.8 per game. Rushing offense 20th in the league at 115.4. Red zone offense been very good all year. 5th in the league at 68.8%. Third down offense 14th at 40.7%. Their pass defense, interestingly enough, is 30th in the league at 263 yards allowed per game. But their rush defense, 2nd in the league, 67.2 yards per game. Red zone defense 17th. Third down defense 4th. The last time we saw the Vikings was that 23-17 victory over the Jets in London. Only the Vikings and Chiefs are still undefeated. This Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the job that he's done, I don't know why he's not being talked about nonstop. When we go over some of the contracts that the Chiefs have signed, maybe, the management group can be compared to. But what Adolfo-Mensah is doing is absolutely incredible. So they decide not to re-sign Kirk Cousins and Danielle Hunter for huge, overpaying them. They decide not to overpay. So the biggest contract they bring in is Jonathan Greenard, who is still $5.5 million less than what Hunter got paid by the Texans. So they have extra cash. So they bring in Van Ginkel, who looks incredible with Flores. They have the history together. They bring in Blake Cashman, who is, a linebacker who does so much. Sam Darnold comes in, and Aaron Jones comes in for a fraction of what Cousins was going to cost in Atlanta. Shaquille Griffin, Jerry Tillery, Jihad Ward, Camu Grugier-Hill. They bring in Trent Sherfield. They bring in Stephon Gilmore at $7 million. He wanted to get back with Flores. They draft Dallas Turner in the first round. So this defense, this Flores defense, has 5 new starters, 4 new backups, and they've allowed the 4th fewest points per game in the league, 5th in yards allowed per play, 2nd in the NFL in takeaways, and the offense that hasn't been it's been better than we thought, but now gets TJ Hawkinson returning to practice. He's either going to play this week or next week. Judging by the market, I don't see how you wouldn't want to be on the Minnesota Vikings here with the Lions playing their first game without 2 key pieces to their defense. Take it away for us, Troy. A beauty in the NFC North. Must-watch football, Lions, Vikings. Take it away.
This to me was pretty easy spot to make a read on. We want to look to fade the undefeated Vikings. I think the writing's on the wall. The Lions are going to be able to negate this what the Vikings' defensive attention is by running the football, pounding the rock. They want to blitz. They want to drop 8. Go ahead, because we're going to turn around and hand it to our backs and let our offensive line destroy you. This game's going to be played indoors. That favors Jared Goff. And despite the one bad performance against Seattle, it was just a bad matchup. This Lions defense has been elite. Right now, per PFF, they're graded 1st overall in the NFL. I knew this defense was going to take a step forward, but the loss of Hutchinson, I think we're ready for a step back. But at the same time, situationally, and how much this line has moved from the look ahead, looks like a great spot to back the Lions again. And here's the thing, Vikings defense is going to be on their heels. Like, the Vikings defense is their strong suit. I'm not fooled by what Sam Darnold has done. I think he has great weapons, but I'm not convinced from what I've seen. I think he has a bunch of flaws, and if you look at who's this Vikings team really played that had that old school ground and pound type of offense. Well, the two teams they played, they were up by 20 points or more in the blink of an eye in the first 12 minutes of the game. The 49ers still ran for 5 yards per carry, or Jordan Mason ran for 5 yards per carry. The Packers averaged 5.7 yards per carry, and they were down 21 at half. I think Birdie hits it on the head. What do the Lions want to do? They want to hurry to the offensive line. They want to hurry to the line of scrimmage. They want to depend on their offensive line, pound the rock, and then just leverage play action, which is going to destroy blitzing teams. So, I think it's pretty interesting to me that this line hasn't moved off the one. Oh, shit. One more point about the Vikings. What have they done this season? They've absolutely feasted off of turnovers. I don't think the Lions are going to turn the ball over one time in this game. And, all of this offensive production that we've seen from this Vikings team is predicated on great field position and or big plays. Okay, you got Justin Jefferson. You got some big plays in there. But look at what the turnovers have done for this offense. Pinnacle hasn't moved this line off one. I think that's the indicator of where this line's going to move. I already moved. I moved on the Lions money line plus 115 for a full unit. And I have the Lions in the two teasers. Teased with the Bills minus 2.5. And I got them teased with the Cincinnati Bengals minus a half point.
It's a fascinating breakdown. And Birdie thinking that it's possible, at least for now, that losing Hutchinson can unite the group playing for him. This is as fun as football gets here. Lions, Vikings.
He was the MVP, in my opinion. I mean, he was completely impacting the game to the point of TJ Watt, Myles Garrett status. That's what Aiden Hutchinson was at their, in their primes. That guy was on a different level. But at the same time, it's not like they don't have any talent on the defensive line now. It's not like the pass rush is going to completely be gone in this situation. And I think the Vikings feasting off the turnovers, getting out to early leads, it's not going to be possible against this Lions team. Man, this is a great spot, man. I'm bullish on it.
Locked and loaded Troy Torrence on the Lions at plus 115.
But then again, one last thing on this spot, Jim, that I didn't talk about. My concern with it, obviously, you got the Lions who are out there partying, trying to embarrass the Cowboys. They just win by 50. I know that just happened. Like, trust me, I didn't look past that. But the X's and O's, this line being at -1 still at Pinnacle, the book I track, we'll see where it goes because they did move the money line towards the Vikings, but that's still a 1. That's giving me room for hope that we don't close at 2.5. I don't want to see the Vikings -2.5 close. If that's not the case, I'm confident.
This total opening up at 51.5, dropping down to 49 and climbing back up. I mean, in this type of divisional battle, I see a number at 50. I want to bet the under immediately. I'm not sure if I'm certainly not going to do that tonight. What do you think about the total in this one?
I think the under is definitely in play here. I think Birdie brings up a great point, though, because when you put something on film, especially if it's from the week before that you played the team, right? They're fresh off seeing this Vikings team not be able to react to a no-huddle scheme from the Jets. And I think that obviously the Lions, I mean, without Hutch, maybe it is I don't know. I'm not betting over, so I'm not saying over. Dude, under or pass.
I'm very interested in the under. Very interested. I want to see if it keeps climbing. Nate Dogg on the other side with the over. I'm not going to bet it tonight, but I'm very interested in the under. Let's roll on. Next up, we have 1 p.m. Eastern action. Philadelphia Eagles 3-2, 1-1 on the road. At the New York Giants 2-4, 0-3 at home. We're at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 69 Fahrenheit, sunny, 4-mile-per-hour winds. Beautiful weather. Let's get into the total here for this one. We have a total of 42. It's minus 115 to the over. This opened up at 43 and dropped to 42. The look ahead was 45. But now it's at a 42. Again, a 1-point move towards the under. Let's get into the spread here for this one. We are sitting with the Giants +3 with no vig. They opened up +3 at +102. It's got up to +3 at +106, and then it's now come back to +3 at -101. So we've had a very slight move towards the New York Giants at this number, and we've had a move towards the under, a 1-point move from 43 to 42. When we get to the cash flow, we have 85% of the tickets on the Eagles, but just 67% of the cash. There's sharp money coming in on the Giants, 15 and 33. You have 19% of the tickets and 37% cash on the under. So, sharp movement towards the Giants and sharp movement towards the under. A lot of Billy Friedrich saying the Eagles cover easily, and Dirty Red saying I like the Eagles to cover, and Jermaine says the Eagles own these. When I see a line like this, I get immediately uncomfortable. I mean, who in their right mind would want to back the Giants here? And yet this line is telling us that there is interest in the Giants, and the public's all over the Eagles, and we know the public will be all over the Eagles. So it's a little uncomfortable here. But Newkirker on the Giants. So that's the first person there. Let's talk about the Eagles first. Their passing offense 14th in the league, 220.6 yards per game. Rushing offense 6th, 146.2. Red zone offense converting at 44.4% of the time. That is 25th in the league. Their third down offense 18th at 39.7% conversion rate. Passing defense 21st in the league, 218.4 yards per game. Rush defense 16th at 123, very middling defensively. Their red zone defense is at 41.2%, which is pretty good. That's a pretty strong spot for them. And then their third down defense is 12th at 34.5%. Eagles came in off their bye week and did not look very good against the Cleveland Browns. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith returned to the lineup. Brown looked great, caught 6 for 116 touchdown. Devonta caught 3 for 64 and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts was 16 and 25 for 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He also ran 14 times for 33 yards. Saquon had 18 carries for 47 yards, bit of an off day. The Eagles offense was just 5 of 14 on third down. And despite racking up 372 total yards, just one trip to the red zone, failed trip at that. The defense held the Browns to just 244 total yards. I guess that's not saying much. Cleveland got its only touchdown on the blocked field goal. Myles Garrett blocked it. Rodney McLeod took it in. The Browns were just 3 of 12 on third down. Also had just one failed attempt in the red zone. Pass rush looked strong against the depleted Browns offensive line. Finished with 5 sacks and 10 quarterback hits. It's rare that we've seen the Eagles pass rush look good. Dallas Goedert suffered a hamstring injury. He's listed as questionable. Darius Slay left with a knee injury. He's also listed as questionable. And offensive tackle Jordan Mailata left in the 4th with a hamstring injury. He's doubtful. So he's gone to doubtful. Spreadsheet play of the day, by the way, from our Ron Crawford is the Detroit Lions. Spreadsheet play of the day is the Detroit Lions. Talk about the New York Giants here. Their passing offense 18th in the league, 213.5 yards per game. Rushing offense 24th at 105.8. Their red zone offense 25th in the league. They're scoring touchdowns 44.4% of the time. Third down offense 21st at 36.8. It's a poor offense. We know that. Bottom 5 or 6 in the league. Their pass defense 12th in the league, 197.7. Rush defense 15th. Their red zone defense 6th, 41.7%. And their third down defense 11th, 34.3%. Their defense has been better than we expected. We knew that they would have a good pass rush, but it seems like they have a little bit more than that, or at least the pass rush helps the other spots on the field. Giants coming off an ugly 17-7 loss at home to the Bengals on Friday night. They have not scored a touchdown. They had not scored a touchdown in their first 10 quarters at home this season. Good God. They got into the end zone with 5:48 left in the third quarter with that 1-yard scamper by Tracy. 24 first downs compared to only 13 for the Bengals, and they were, had no chance of winning that game, basically. Hard to believe. Danny Dimes was 22 of 41 for 205 yards in the pick. He also led the ground game with 11 carries for 56 yards. Malik Neighbors missed his second straight game with a concussion. Is he going to be back this week? He's expected. They expect him. They hope he's back, but, now the second week into the concussion, you never know. You never know. Darius Slayton led receivers with 6 catches for 57 yards. Devin Singletary out of the lineup for a second straight week. Tyrone Tracy ran 17 times for 50 and a touchdown, caught 6 for 57. They were held to 5 of 15 on third down, 1 of 2 in the red zone. The defense held the Bengals to 4 of 11 on third down, 0-1 in the red zone. And the pass rush was yet again strong. 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Take it away for us, Troy. We know the Eagles are going to be extremely public this week. But you have interest in fading the public and backing the Giants at MetLife?
No, actually, I'm joining the flock. this week in a lot of cases, especially this one. I want to attack these 3.5s. I'm hunting for them. It's clear as me there's a little bit of market manipulation. This is where I'm coming up. My theory that I talked about earlier, where the bookies forecast what they want to do with the line movement is premeditated in some circumstances. I think this is a perfect example of where that is the case. And if you look at historically, these 3 and 3.5 home dogs, especially in division, you do not want to be on them. And most importantly, when the line's moving their way, like, you don't want to see that. So when I seen that late Bengals move for that Sunday Night Football, it was 3.5. They thought it was going to finish around there. I seen it bounce up to 4.5. I swear to God, like, I got spooked. This used to be line movement that make me bullish because I had closing line value, and I'd be pounding my chest. Hell no, I don't want to see that in this situation. I want to see us close at 3.5. A 3. I'm not scared about a 3. I'm not scared about a 3. 3.5. I'm perfectly happy. Supporting history. This is just a market trend. When you see the Fibonacci's hit, and when you're betting on stocks, when you're you know what I mean, you just got to bet it. And that's what I'm going to do here. And you look at the matchup. How could you? I love the matchup. Look at who the Giants have played this season in terms of the offenses they played. They've had the weakest strength of schedule as it relates to rushing offenses. The only team that they ran that they played against was the Washington Commanders, who are running the ball well this year. And they actually had they had over 7 yards per carry. I mean, the Eagles' ability to run the ball, use RPO, and to keep this pass rush on their heels. I love the offense against this defense. And I think this defense continues to slowly come together as the season progresses. We've seen some good output from this defense despite the public sentiment on this team. And I know public sentiment, what are we saying? I mean, you look at the numbers, I don't know how much you could trust them, but it's good to track them to see what, even if they are not numbers you could rely on, at least you could tell if they're manipulated to any extent, you track that information, then you'll be able to draw some trends from that, right? There's no hiding when they're putting out information like that. I don't believe in this Giants team. They have limited upside. I talked about Daniel Jones and what he was able to do on offense. It's been pretty impressive. But when you actually get into the film and you see the missed reads in critical moments, it's the difference between a great quarterback, a good quarterback, and a mediocre quarterback. I think Daniel Jones is perfectly good, mediocre quarterback. And I'm on the Eagles. I bet it. I bought down to the 3. If it ends up at 3, I'll just hammer it more for this show. I'll have to do something with it then. I got a pretty big bet on the Eagles -3. They're going to be primed for my 10-point teaser this week. I'll definitely have the Eagles in there.
What was the juice that you got on the Eagles?
-120.
Interesting. Okay.
Which whatever, if that, I have not posted it yet. So whatever you can get me now, let's see what I can get. I bet you I could still get a -125 at the worst.
Oh, we can get -111, -110.
Give me that.
-107 is the best line, and that's at Bookmaker. So there's been today alone a 13-cent move to the New York Giants at Bookmaker. So we'll give you the -3 at -107. Birdie talking about the -110 at Bet Online. Wow, very, very interesting. I'm going to need more time. I don't know who in their right mind would be on the Giants. So this line moving towards them right now is befuddling. I'm going to be off of it, though.
Isn't that interesting? Who's moving this line down to the Giants?
It's crazy.
Bro, the trap is being set, Jimmy. The trap is being set.
We move on. Next up, we head to afternoon action, 4:05 p.m. Eastern, with the Las Vegas Raiders 2-4, 1-2 on the road at the LA Rams, 1-4, 1-1 at home at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. And of course, the big news that the Raiders traded away disgruntled star receiver Devontae Adams to the Jets for a conditional third-round pick. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have the Rams right now on the spread -7 at +102. They opened up at -5.5. That's a big move towards the Rams. This -7 was -106. Now it's +102. This -7 was -112 at 2:17 p.m. Wow. So a big move towards the Rams, despite a little bit of buyback, 1.5 move towards the Los Angeles Rams. Let's get into the total here for this one. We have a 43.5. It's minus 109 to the under. Opened up minus 108 to the under, so a 1 cent move. Actually, it was just tightened up the juice, really. So let's say no movement on the 43.5. Let's get to the cash flow here for this one. Our first afternoon spot. 33% of the tickets, 22% of the cash on the Las Vegas Raiders. 85% of the tickets and 74% of cash on the over. Start with the Raiders. Their passing offense, 17th in the league. I'm not sure what this is going to look like with Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. We saw that scripted opening drive look very good. They score the touchdown and then nothing. The squat, zilch. And I imagine that first drive will give the coaching staff hope to try and get after it once again. I don't think we should get too caught up in the statistics with the offenses. We want to know what the difference is with O'Connell at quarterback, compared to Minshew. But their rushing offense is 31st in the league. We know it's been terrible all season long, 79.5 yards per game. Their red zone offense, 7th in the league at 66.7%. A bit of a surprise. I'm sure that will come down with no Devontae Adams. I mean, Brock Bowers being your only threat at this point. Third down offense, 25th in the league at 33.3%. Passing defense has been strong this year, 7th at 186.2 yards per game. Rush defense, 24th, 140.3 yards per game. Their red zone defense, 21st in the league, allowing touchdowns 59.1% of the time. And their third down defense, 3rd in the league, allowing conversions just 30.1% of the time. They come in off an ugly 32-13 loss at home to the Steelers. O'Connell was 27-40 for 227 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Opened the drive going 4 for 4 for 55 yards, led the touchdown drive, and then nothing. Now, they didn't have Devontae Adams. They won't have him anymore. They didn't have Jacoby Myers, and they didn't have Zamir White. He's out with a groin injury. Myers with the ankle injury. Myers and White are both listed as questionable to go this week. Brock Bowers led receivers with 9 catches for 71 yards, and Alex Madison does not look good. He struggled again, 14 carries for just 33 yards and a touchdown. And I said, look, Abdullah's going to take carries from him, but they gave Abdullah the ball 4 times, and he fumbled twice. So, what do? Just hope White is back, because you can't give Abdullah any opportunities, even if he looks a little better when he does hold on to the ball. He only lost one of those fumbles. Raiders were just 2 of 11 on third down. Did manage to go 2 of 3 in the red zone. We've seen their red zone offense look good all year. And the defense tried to keep them in it. They held the Steelers to just 293 total yards and 4 of 13 on third down. And somehow the Steelers scored their most points that they've scored in 2 years. They held them to 2 of 4 in the red zone. Pass rush finished with 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, and they lost their guard, Dylan Parham. Lost Dylan Parham in the first half to a foot injury. He's listed as questionable to go this week. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams. What an interesting squad this is in the fun cap. Their passing offense, 12th in the league at 226.6 yards per game. Rushing offense, 27th, 97.4 yards per game. Kyron Williams has looked pretty good. I'm surprised their rushing offense is being so poor, just 97.4 yards per game. Red zone offense, 24th in the league, 45%. We can expect that to improve with Cooper Kupp back. He's going to be back this week. Puka Nacua not back yet, but we shouldn't be too long from now. Next week, maybe, but week 9 is the most legit spot there for him. The pass defense, 18th in the league, allowing 215.2 yards per game. Their rush defense is the worst in the league, 157.6 yards per game. So they're playing a team that can't take advantage of that. Red zone defense, 22nd in the league, 61.1%. Third down defense, 24th in the league, 44.2%. They're coming off their bye week. Last season, 24-19 loss at home to the Packers. This is a team that is yet to score a first quarter touchdown in 5 games. We used to talk about McVay's scripted plays. Now, we didn't hold them in the highest esteem, but we really respected them. And in the first quarter of this season, they've been held to 2 field goals. But that McVay is not the problem. We all like McVay. Now, maybe McVay tapping his buddy, Chris Shula, to be the defensive coordinator is the problem, a college teammate of McVay's. Listen to this defense, 29th in total defense, 32nd, as I said, in rushing defense, 29th in points allowed. Opponent scoring at least 24 points in every single football game against them this year. Now, I know it's only 5. The worst run defense, they're allowing 157.6 yards per game through 5 weeks. Shula's 3-4 scheme is not working. Now, they have this offensive line that's battered and injured. Stafford got hit 10 times, sacked 3 times. Now he's going to have Cooper Kupp back. But, they were going without Kupp, without Nakua, without Higbee, without their starting center, Jonah Jackson, without their starting left guard, Steve Avila. It's bad news. It's bad news. So nobody has ever been able to explain why Ernest Jones was traded for a 5th-round pick. No one has explained that to me. I can't understand that his value is of a 5th-round pick. He's clearly missing from this defense. And then Tre'Davious White is on the bench, one of their signees. You have to ask Snead, what the hell went on in the offseason? There are real problems with this defense. In saying that, can the Raiders take advantage of it? And the answer is no, and that's why the line's moving towards the 7. Take it away, Troy. Can't wait to hear this breakdown. Raiders-Rams, SoFi Stadium.
God, I'm gonna really disappoint you, Jimmy, with this one. This is my least favorite game on the board, and it's even I have even less focus on it because the chat is just blowing my mind right now. There's so much good conversation happening, and in text when I'm writing this out, like I hope nobody takes offense to what I'm saying. Like I really just speak in my mind, and text can be misleading. So that's always something I try to be conscious of when I'm typing in chat, because it could be misleading. I'm more curious and to have this conversation. I don't want to feel, I'm not trying to be demanding with what I'm saying, But what are we doing here? The Rams are laying 7 points. The bookies are trying to tell us the Rams are about to go on a run. They've had the hardest strength of schedule so far this season, or they're up at the top of the list. They're either saying that or they're telling us the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL, which wouldn't make any sense based on where the Panthers are currently being priced. This price range, this market, it's not, this -7 when we get to 7 and above. It's not. I have zero interest in this market. It's not very consistent. It's all over the board. It's not something I want to be involved in. And that turned me off immediately when it moved this much towards the Rams. So this is a pass for me, Jim.
Do you think this comes back to 6.5, then to 6, or do you think that this move will stick? And in saying that, McVay off of a bye, I'm sure that him and Shula didn't leave the facility because Shula's being an ass clown, and that's his best buddy. So do you think that the defense takes a big step in the right direction against the really weak Raiders offense when we see the one scripted drive is the only drive that O'Connell can deliver?
I think you're speaking truths, and you're leading people in the right direction, Jim, with those statements right there.
And wouldn't that have to be an under instead of a team total under because the Rams are too big of a favorite?
Yeah, I would not be on a team total under in this situation at this spread, but I wouldn't be on an under at this spread either, because when you start getting into that between 7 and 10 range, I don't know what it says. Like I still got to figure that out. But there's a lot of overs. Like a lot of the over trends are falling in that range. We were talking about the Eagles game, or what game was it? 8.5, the Bills Titans game. And I was seeing over trends when I was funneling through the database. And I was interested, that always catches my attention. These 7 to 10 point favorites at home, they typically go over.
This is Shula's chance against the weak Raiders offense to show that he was the right guy for the job here, because there's a ton of people questioning his schemes and how he's handled everything and questioning Snead's decision-making in the offseason.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you got the divisional aspect of things. You got, I think you got a lot of things working in your favor on the under. I really do.
All right, I'm going to need more time on this one, but I mean, are the Raiders, by trading Devontae Adams, signaling that we're going to give up? Because, I know that's not in Pierce's language. He's just not that kind of guy. But maybe they're saying we need a top 5 pick. We need to get a quarterback this year.
Yeah, but I don't think that the Rams are the type of team that are going to run up the score. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if this is true or not. And I would pull up my sheet. I don't want to be doing research while I'm talking here, but I don't feel like the Raiders or the Rams are going to be in a situation where they're going to want to run up the score and embarrass this Raiders team. They're going to want to win, control the clock, and get to the end of the line, get to the finish line. The under makes sense to me if it wasn't for this price range. Actually, if it stayed below 7, I probably would be on the under.
I'm interested in it. I'm not going to be betting it tonight, though. Let's roll on. 4:05 p.m. Eastern with the Carolina Panthers 1-5, 1-2 on the road at the Washington Commanders 4-2, 2-0 at home. We're at Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. Beautiful weather, 71 Fahrenheit, sunny, 5-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have this total at 52. Now it's juiced to the under, but it opened up at 51, climbed up to 52. It was a completely legit 52 at a pick 'em, but now it's minus 119 to the under, so it looks like 51.5 at most books. Let's get into the point spread here for this Commanders spot. We have the Commanders minus 7.5, basically. It opened up as minus 8.5. Then it moved to 8, but it's not a real 8. There, if you want Washington minus 8, it's at plus 108. So it's a 7 or 7.5 or even closer to a 7. Let's get into the cash flow here for this one. We have 92% of the tickets and 89% of the cash on the Commanders. 70% of the tickets and 88% of cash on the over. Talk about the Panthers first. Their passing offense 23rd in the league, 187.2, and rushing offense 22nd at 111.3. Both those numbers have climbed drastically with the Red Rifle at quarterback in comparison to Bryce Young. Red zone offense 17th in the league at 53.3%. Third down offense is 26th in the league at 31%, and a lot of that's blamed on Bryce Young. Pass defense 23rd in the league, 226.3 yards per game. Their rush defense 30th in the league, 153.5 yards allowed per game. Their defense is horrific. I mean, every stat you look at. Red zone defense, second last in the league, allowing touchdowns 75% of the time. Third down defense, 30th in the league, 47.4% conversion rate for the opposition. We know Shaq Thompson and Derek Brown are out for the season. Huge losses. Then linebackers Josie Jewell and Jadeveon Clowney are injured as well. Now, they're not on IR, but this Panthers defense getting destroyed. They've allowed a league high 203 points in 6 games, the 9th most in the Super Bowl era, and the most since the 2020 Dallas Cowboys. We know that when Canales came in, he kept the defense of coaches in place because they had a really good year last year defensively, despite losing Shaq Thompson in the first game of the year. That's not been the case this year. Last year they had Derek Brown and Brian Burns, and both are not there, and it's hugely noticeable. Carolina has allowed 34 more points in 4 games this season. The 203 points they've allowed in 6 games is the 9th most in the Super Bowl era and the most since the 2020 Cowboys. Now, the offense tries to keep them in the game. Andy Dalton was 26 for 38 for 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Deontay Johnson caught 6 for 78 and a touchdown, and Chuba Hubbard ran 18 times for 92 yards. Panthers were 5-11 on third down, 2 of 3 in the red zone. They're trying their best, the offense. But the Falcons put up 423 yards of offense, had 25 first downs, and the Panthers' run defense was pitiful. Falcons ran for 198 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, and as I said in the Falcons breakdown, 8 red zone scoring opportunities. I've not written that down before. No one's gone something for 8 in the red zone. They went 4 of 8. Pass rush didn't record a sack. Chairless left the game in the second half. Their linebacker with a hamstring injury did not return. It's already a beat-up linebacking core. Their center, Austin Corbett, is done for the season. He had surgery to repair his torn bicep. His backup, Andrew Rain, was also inactive last week and is listed as questionable to go this week. And they're also missing offensive tackle Tyler Motton. This is a messed up football team. Let's get into the Commanders. Passing offense, 13th in the league at 220.7 yards per game. Rushing offense, 5th in the league, 157.3 yards per game. Their red zone offense, 14th at 57.7%. Their third down offense is so good. 2nd in the league, converting 48.6% of the time. Pass defense, 19th. Rush defense, 22nd. Their defense is not good. Their red zone defense is 29th in the league, allowing 70% touchdowns. Their third down defense is also 29th in the league, allowing conversions 46.2% of the time. Washington comes in off a tough 30-23 loss at Baltimore. They managed to keep it a one-score game despite being outgained 484 to 305. If they were outgained 484 to 305 last year, they lose by 25 points. It's Jaden Daniels. He is unbelievable. So they get outgained by 179 yards, and it's a one-score game. Jaden Daniels was 24-35 for 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But Brian Robinson Jr. out of the lineup with a knee injury, and the Ravens just completely shut down the Commanders' ground game. Or maybe the Commanders just knew how to attack the Ravens because the Ravens' pass defense is horrific. A huge Achilles heel to a supposed Super Bowl contender. Well, they can't defend the pass at all. But the run game without Brian Robinson was a mess. Jaden Daniels, Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols combined for 17 carries for 52 yards. As our guy CMAC predicted on NFL Pub-Up, Zach Ertz was great. He led receivers with 4 catches for 68 yards. We know it's another problem with the Ravens pass defense, but we'll get into that when we talk about the Ravens. Commanders were 4-12 on third down, 2 of 3 in the red zone. Commanders defense got gashed by the Ravens run game. And everything the Ravens did. The Ravens averaged 7.4 yards per play against them. Ravens went 6 of 10 on third down, 3 of 4 in the red zone. Cleveland Farrell returned to the lineup. Dante Fowler Jr. had both the sacks. When Cleveland Farrell got hurt, that defensive pass rush came together, but that seems to be the only thing that's working for the Commanders right now. Mike Sanders still had the pick, and that was, a lucky one, off of Andrews' hands. Andrews should have made that catch. Now there's more problems. Defensive tackle Jonathan Allen was ruled out in the fourth quarter with a pectoral injury. It requires surgery. He's done for the season. Their defensive end, Torrence Armstrong, left in the second quarter with the rib injury. It's going to require more testing. He's listed as questionable. Another defensive end, Jean-Baptiste, sustained a right ankle injury. He's listed as day-to-day. But Jonathan Allen gone is a big loss to an already very weak group. But look, I'm not going to sit here and want money on the Panthers. Take it away, Troy. Panthers, Commanders. I tell you, I don't really want the Commanders, but maybe we should just bet overs. Take it away, Troy. Panthers, Commanders, Northwest Stadium.
So here's a perfect example, because this takes me back to the last game we were talking about in this price range between 7 and 10, between 7.5. I know we're talking 7 in the last game, but I'm talking more in the range of 7.5 to 9.5, right before the 10, above the 7. And there's huge splits. This takes me back to the Titans game where I discussed my dismay for taking the Bills. And that's because when you see this price range, you see very polarized totals where they're very low, below 40, or they're very high, above 44. And when you filter it down to when the total's above 44 and you have this price range between 7.5 and 10, you see the road teams cashing at an incredible rate. The road teams are 11-4 ATS, 7-8 on the money line. High total, less than a double-digit spread in this range. I mean, we should be immediately looking towards the Commanders the Panthers, and it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to bet on the worst team in the NFL, but when you want to bet on the worst team in the NFL, it's a pretty goddamn good spot to do so when the Commanders' defense is where it is. I mean, let's call it what it is. This is a bottom 10 defense. The defensive front can't get off run blocks. Chuba Hubbard should be able to exploit that. They struggle to apply pressure. The secondary can't cover. I don't know if you've seen St. Juice or Justice or whatever his damn name is. They cannot cover, not one-on-one. If they guard one-on-one, the QBs, if they don't guard, if they're not playing one-on-one, which they can't defend one-on-one, they're playing zone coverage, which means they're not going to be able to apply pressure. You're going to pick your poison. I think the Red Rifle will be able to exploit this defense. But I mean, how could you talk shit about what the Commanders are profiling to do against this Panthers team? Listen, I get it. The Commanders, I can't make a case for this Panthers defense against this Commanders offense other than we could see a flat spot, right? Which makes complete sense in this type of situation. So, I was considering maybe a Panthers team total. I don't know how I'm going to play this one, but I'm definitely not going to be backing the Commanders team as a big favorite. And I'm definitely not looking towards them on a teaser. I expect regression from this team. God damn it. Am I going to be betting the Panthers, Jim?
I don't know how we can do that. Honestly, I think that you figured it out. If you want to make a move on this, you take the Panthers team total, which would be a 20.5. I mean, I think that's the only thing that makes sense here. The Panthers red zone offense, the Panthers with Dalton at quarterback, their statistics are pretty strong. And I should probably just start using them with Dalton at quarterback. Maybe I'll change that for next week. But I like that look. the Panthers team total, but I mean, if we take the Panthers team total over, you probably feel like with the horrific performance of the Panthers defense that the game will soar over. Enough like Sean says Washington's 10 for 10 on fourth downs with Jaden Daniels. It's a continue must bet prop. Birdie says I think you take the Panthers money line actually, and but a lot of people think that they're just going to smash and grab here. A lot of people in the chat think Billy Friedrich says Commanders by 20, saturated Commanders minus 13.5. I think that Panthers team told a very, very interesting look. If you don't have the balls to bet the Panthers to cover, 7.5 or 8, then
I just have trouble because of, even though in this profile it does profile towards the over. I don't know why I get so spooked about these 50 totals. This is the rare situation where I do see over trends above 50.
Ron Crawford says Panthers are the play, but no way in capitals. All right. I think that Panthers team total over is a very interesting look. I mean, again, this weak Commander defense. But look, I've got nothing. I don't want to say anything negative about the Commanders, just like you do. I love everything that we've seen from them. It's such a bright future. I mean, this isn't their year, but they're going to be dynamite. And I think the Panthers can get points in this football game, which would then either lead you to the over or just the team total over, which I think I end up on. Panthers team total over. I'm very interested in. All right, let's roll on. Next up, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. I see Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers, and I get flashbacks. Just flashbacks of 10-point leads in the Super Bowl. And I know that the Chiefs don't really care that they're going to Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. And the 49ers care very much. 78 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 6-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history of this one. This total's at 47.5. Opened up at 46.5. It's gone up to 47.5. We have a 1-point move towards the over. Let's get to the side here in this one. On the side, we have the 49ers -1 at -112. There's been a 2-cent move towards them at Pinnacle. Get to the cash flow here for this one. We have 76% of the tickets, 70% of the cash on the Chiefs, 84% of the tickets, and 77% cash on the over. It's funny these guys meeting up here in week 7 of the NFL season because both teams are, you've lost a lot of weapons on either team. If you look at where's one spot that hasn't been hurt, and that's just the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense looks very strong. It's not being hurt by injuries. Other than that, every angle, the 49ers offense much weaker. Chiefs offense is weaker. The 49ers defense much weaker, but the Chiefs defense still very good. Let's get into this. We'll start with the Chiefs. Their passing offense is 9th in the league, 236.8 yards a game. Their rushing offense is 16th in the league, 117.8 yards per game. And interestingly enough, it's even higher the last 3 games. They've put up 122.7 yards per game. Their red zone offense, and we've talked about this a lot already this year. We talked about it last year. It's bad. 29th in the league is the Chiefs' red zone offense, 38.9%. Their their red zone offense, 29th. Third down offense, 9th in the league, 42.6%. Their pass defense is 20th in the league at 217 yards per game. Their rush defense, 5th in the league, 88.4 yards per game. Their red zone defense is 10th in the league at 46.7%. Third down defense, 14th in the league at 35.6%. And they come in off their bye week. We all know Andy Reid's numbers off the bye week. They're superlative. They were last seen in an easy Week 5, 26-13 triumph at home over the Saints. But their red zone offense missing Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Isaiah Pacheco. Now, I know Hollywood Brown's not been around all year, but they were just 2 of 7 in the red zone against the Saints. Rice and Brown are not likely to be back this season. Juju Smith-Schuster has returned after the stint in New England. And with the injury to Marquise Brown, he's become a huge factor. He caught 7 passes for 113 yards. And here we have Hunt back again. He began his career in Kansas City. He signed 2 weeks ago following the injury to Isaiah Pacheco, and he runs for 102 yards and a touchdown. Now, there's some issues. This is a crazy stat. Can you believe this is the team trying to become the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls? They have not won a turnover margin for 16 straight regular season games. It's the third longest streak since 1960. Crazy streak. Jawan Taylor has been flagged the third most penalties of any player in the NFL. Their right tackle, Jawan Taylor, has been a problem. But their run defense has been incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's better than the stats look. Listen to this. Alvin Kamara, they hold him to 26 yards rushing on 11 carries. And that one carry he got, that when he broke the 10 or 11, was Kamara doing the most amazing run we've ever seen. Like, it was, he went all the way. It was just, he had to do everything he could for that one gain he got. So they've gone up against Derrick Henry of the Ravens, Zach Moss, Bengals, J.K. Dobbins of the Chargers, Bijan Robinson of the Falcons, and Kamara of the Saints. Those are 5 really good running backs. Maybe Zach Moss isn't quite as good as the rest, but those 5 running backs have combined to run for 135 yards against the Chiefs this season. And Chris Jones is in fine form right now. 9 quarterback pressures against the Saints. 9. So when you look at this point as a football fan, I'm not jealous of them anymore. I'm not angry. I just like to watch them. I like watching their games. And then I like looking at what they've done to create this team that is, the favorite to win a 3rd straight Super Bowl. And we'll take a quick look at it. And I know this isn't important for this part of the game, but it's important for this, just to see how good they are. They give the 10-year, $450 million deal to Mahomes. It's a steal now. It's a great deal. Who would have thought? I would never have imagined that. They give $187 million to Chris Jones on the 5-year deal, and he's playing very good. Now, Jawan Taylor, $80 million for Jawan Taylor and Joe Thuney. They make Creed Humphrey the highest paid center in the league. Why wouldn't you find the best center in the league if you got the best quarterback in the league? It just makes sense. And then they have Travis Kelce for $17 million. So they're paying a lot of players a lot of money, but it's not those guys. It's the guys on the rookie deals. They have 3 starters in Worthy, their right guard Trey Smith, and left tackle Wanya Morris. And it was 4 before Rashee Rice. They had 4 guys on rookie deals. Carson Steele on a rookie deal. Their left tackle Kingsley Sumataya on a rookie deal. And then you go to the defensive side. They have 7 players on rookie contracts, including Trent McDuffie, an all-pro cornerback, a pass rusher, and George Karlaftis, who's a monster, and Nick Bolton, who's a phenomenal linebacker. It's just it's brilliant work by the staff of the Chiefs. Let's get into the 49ers, second best passing offense in the league, 262 yards per game, and they're the 3rd best rushing offense in the league, 158 yards per game. Red zone offense is 25th. They've struggled in the red zone as well, 44.4% touchdown rate. Their 3rd down offense is 6th in the league at 45.7. Their pass defense, this is a middling defense now. And even worse if you look at red zone and 3rd down. 3rd down defense, 23rd in the league. Red zone defense, 19th in the league. Pass defense, 17th in the league. Rush defense, 7th in the league. Now they're on extra rest and prep after defeating the Seahawks 36-24 in Seattle on Thursday. Nice bounce back after that 24-23 loss at home to the Cardinals in Week 5. Purdy was excellent. 18-28, 255 yards, 3 touchdowns. Debo had 3 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown. He also ran 4 times for 15 yards. George Kittle caught 5 for 58 and 2 touchdowns. And Jordan Mason ran 9 times for 73 yards before injuring his shoulder in the second quarter. He's in a non-contact jersey at practice all week. I don't see how he would be out there, especially with CMC, such a question mark. Isaac Guerrero replaced him, ran 10 times for 99 yards. I think that you got to go with him here. The 49ers offense put up 483 total yards, 7.9 yards per play, 5 of 12 on 3rd down, 3 of 5 in the red zone. But God, injuries have taken a toll. This once vaunted pass rush looked, we've seen what a good pass rush does against the Seattle Seahawks. They go for 7 sacks and 17 quarterback hits. The Niners had 1 sack and 6 quarterback hits, but they completely shut down the Seahawks rushing attack, holding them to 52 yards on the ground. Niners held the Seahawks to 7 of 16 on 3rd down, 2 of 3 in the red zone. Ronaldo Green and Malik Mustafa had interceptions. Charvarius Ward has this bruised knee. He was a late scratch. It's the first game he's missed since joining the Niners in 2022. We expect him back on the field, but this is a defense without Ambry Thomas, cornerback Ambry Thomas, linebacker Dre Greenlaw, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, and safety Talanoa Hufanga, all on IR. This is a monster football game here, Troy. Take it away, Chiefs Niners.
I think you did an incredible job breaking this one out. I just want to call it for what it is. I just want to call it for what it is. The Chiefs are the global elites team of choice. Pfizer, Kelsey, Taylor Swift, Kamala Harris, Patrick Mahomes. This team could easily be 1-4 at this point. They could have. I mean, you just go back into this run that they're on right now. All of those games could have been L's on the record. That's real fucking talk right there. Actually, one of their only real wins was against the Ravens in the playoffs, and that was pretty much a coaching mishap on the for the Ravens with what they did offensively. But I mean, the really only win cover this year is against the New Orleans Saints. Patrick Mahomes' numbers are worse than Justin Fields. They're worse than Danny Dimes. And I'm not saying that he's that caliber player. Like, I still believe Patrick Mahomes right now. How could you doubt that he's the GOAT? But how could you not just accept how lucky this team has been to be on the run that they currently are? I mean, that's what I see. I'm sticking to it. I could show you the tape. I could show you the decisions, the game deciding decisions that happen, that are out of the players' hands. You guys all know this. This team is fraudulent and undeserving. You know this, how I feel about it. You don't know this because I know a lot of people love this Chiefs team and think they're incredible. And I'm just not one of those. The 49ers team are coming off a rest from Thursday Night Football. This is pretty much as healthy as they've been all season, in my opinion, especially lately. At home, Super Bowl revenge, the number one offense per PFF. So that, the Chiefs are going to get another good one coming at them. They're 3-3. They're versus a 5-0 team, and they're favorites. I like that. And I don't think they're going to flip the dogs. If they do, I will be a little bit concerned. The Chiefs haven't been good off a bye week historically, and people talk about this number and the Chiefs as a short favorite or a short dog or however you want to phrase it. How many times has it happened on the road the past 2 years? It's happened 2 times, and at 2 spots that are completely unparalleled to what we're looking at in this spot. This is one of my favorite spots on the board. People knew it. Jared TG was joking that I was going to sell my house, sell my car, and put it on the 49ers, which, I'm degenerate. I'm definitely a degen, okay? Don't tempt me. I might just do it. I'm on the 49ers, but what I chose to do, because like I said, I don't think we end up here 49ers plus points, but I'm just going to focus on the first quarter, first half off the rip. So I bet the first quarter money line minus 115. Bet the 49ers first half money line minus 118. I put 3 units on those 2 plays respectively. And I'll be looking for 49ers money line if we don't flip to a dog here.
I like the 49ers early in this as well. I think that's the right place to back them here. I just I have nightmares.
Vivid ones. This is the one nightmare I've had for years now, man. It's growing on me.
What did you get for the 49ers first quarter?
Minus 115.
49ers first quarter.
Probably get a better line. I probably took a bad number, but it was
first half. What did you get?
First half minus 118. I don't know. What is it now?
How are you gonna feel if they announce Jordan Mason's not playing? Any concern?
No, it's not gonna make me turn. I guess I'd rather see what the market does at that point. Are the bookies gonna flip the line if Jordan Mason? How much does he work to the spread? I don't think it's very much. I'm not too worried about it. I think he should play based on. I don't know. You don't think he's gonna play, Jim?
I don't know. I tried to find out as much as I could, and all I could get was that he's practicing, but non-contact jersey. And I don't think it's fair for me to. I don't know.
I mean, he was available. He came back and was available last game. I'm pretty sure, right? Then he came in for a play, and then he got sidelined after one play back in.
Yeah. Chosen One says AC joints, just pain tolerance as well. I'm going to need more time with this one.
I mean, think about it from Jordan Mason's perspective. Do you think this guy's going to get ready to play? Is he going to do everything he needs to do to pass protocol? I'll bet my ass if he's an NFL player in the situation he's in, he's fucking all in on this game. His fucking career depends on it. That's how I'd be feeling if I was in his shoes, because he can play this game. It's pain tolerance, like they're talking about.
No, I hear you, man. This game means so much more to the 49ers than it means to the Chiefs. I mean, but the Chiefs are just stone cold killers. And all right. Okay. 49ers first quarter and first half money line for Troy. I like that. I'm interested in the Niners early as well. Let's roll on. We roll on to our Sunday nighter. Sunday night live stream right here on Pub Sports Radio. We're running nice on these live streams. 15-7. I'm this year with you guys and want to keep it going. We have New York Jets at Pittsburgh Steelers here at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Jets are 2-4, 1-2 on the road, and they acquired Devontae Adams today for a 2025 conditional third round draft pick. Let's talk about the spot. 62 Fahrenheit clear, 4 mile per hour winds. When we get to the spread, we have the New York Jets. They opened up at +2. They're now 1.5 point favorites. You could have got them +2 yesterday. You could have got them +1.5 early this morning. Then moved to -1.5 at about 10:30 this morning. So we have a 3.5 point move towards the New York Jets. On the total for this one, we have a 38. This is juiced to the over at -113. Opened up at 37.5, dropped down to 36.5, and has climbed back up to 38. It is juiced to the over, so we expect 38.5 incoming. We have a move to the over and a big move to the Jets. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. From a cash flow standpoint, we have 93% of the tickets and 80% of the cash on the over, and it's moving in that direction. We have a coin flippy situation on the spread. 55% of the tickets and 54% of the cash on the Jets. We've seen a 3.5 point move towards them. Yeah, Devontae Adams trade obviously has something to do with it. On the money line, it's very different. 68% of the tickets and 86% of the cash is on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Very interesting. Let's get into the X's and O's here. Jets passing offense 16th in the league, 217.2 yards per game. Their rushing offense 30th in the league. That's been so confusing, them not running the ball more, 87.2 yards per game. Red zone offense 18th in the league at 52.9%. Third down offense 13th in the league at 41%. Their pass defense is second in the league, 148.8 yards allowed per game. Their rush defense 17th, allowing 124.2. Their red zone defense is at 50%. Their third down defense is 9th in the league at 33. Sorry, it's at 33.8%. It's been a very good third down defense. Let's roll. The Jets coming off the 23-20 home loss to the Bills in their first game since firing Robert Saleh. Of course, he's replaced by Jeff Ulbrich, and Nathaniel Hackett was demoted from play calling duties in favor of Todd Downing. But Greg Zuerlein, of all people, screwing me over so badly yesterday. Missed potential go-ahead field goals for the Jets, hitting left to upright on both. Aaron Rodgers was 23 of 35 for 294 yards and 2 touchdowns in the pick. Lazard caught 6 passes for 114 yards and a touchdown. Garrett Wilson caught 8 for 107 yards and a touchdown. Now you bring Devontae Adams into that group with his history with Rodgers. It's a really good-looking group. Breece Hall had 18 carries for 113 yards, caught 5 passes for 56 yards. Jets put up 393 yards of total offense, but they were 4 of 12 on third down, 1 of 4 in the red zone. The Bills were 5 of 11 on third down and 3 and 4 in the red zone, and the Bills win the football game. Pass rush had difficulty getting to Allen. They sacked him twice. They only hit him twice. Chuck Clark, their safety, was ruled out in the second quarter with an ankle injury. He's listed as questionable this week, and so is DJ Reed, their cornerback. He's dealing with an injured groin. All right, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their passing offense, 28th in the league. Nemec, 166.8 yards per game, but the rushing offenses look strong despite, Najee Harris had his first good game since the end of last season. 9th in the league, 131.5 yards per game. Their red zone offense, 19th in the league, 50%. That's the exact same number that the red zone defense is for the Jets. Their red zone offense for the Steelers, 50%, 19th in the league. Third down offense, 19th in the league, 39%. Pass defense, 13th in the league, 208.7 yards allowed per game. And their rush defense has been very good. They are 4th in the league. They only allow 85.5 yards per game. Their red zone defense is 3rd in the league at 38.9%. Their third down defense is middling at 15th, 35.6%. They're coming off that big 32-13 victory in Vegas over the Raiders. Steelers' highest scoring game since last December. They they came in 26th in scoring offense, 18.4 points per game. Justin Fields is 14-24 for 145 yards, no TDs, no picks. He also ran 11 times for 59 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Najee Harris ran 14 times for 106 yards and a touchdown, caught 2 for 16. Went over 100 yards for the first time this year. He came in averaging 3.3 yards per carry. He hadn't had a 100-yard game since the last 2 games of last season. Last 2 regular season games. George Pickens caught 3 for 53, but the offense just struggles on third down, 4-13. The defense allowed the Raiders to score a touchdown on their opening drive, then completely shut them down, held the Raiders to 2 of 11 on third down. So Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig out of the lineup. The pass rush looks very pedestrian. 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits. Highsmith is questionable for the week, but Herbig is already being announced out. TJ Watt did force fumbles, 2 fumbles, had 2 tackles for a loss. I mean, it's not, he didn't get sacks, but he still is a problem. Dante Jackson had an interception. Their center, Zach Frazier, left in the third quarter. He's already been announced out for this week. And safety DeMonte Casey and running back Cordell Patterson were inactive in our list. That's questionable this week. Take it away for us, Troy. Jets, Steelers in our Sunday nighter.
Who do you think the quarterback is going to be, Jimmy? For the Steelers.
Yeah, of course, for Steelers. I think that they keep status quo. They just scored too many points. I know he didn't look good, and I know the numbers aren't very good, but I just don't understand how you score 32 points for your highest scoring game since last December and you change quarterbacks. I don't get it. So, yes, I think Justin Fields will be a quarterback, and I think that the longer that they wait, the healthier Russell Wilson gets and the more comfortable he gets with the offense. I'm sure he's very comfortable by now. I just don't think there's any harm in waiting here. If they didn't want to give Russell Wilson the start against the Raiders, I don't see why they'd want to do that against the Jets defense.
So is this what's going on with this line then? I mean, this line went from Pitt -2 to Jets -2 pretty fucking quick.
Saturated says Wilson starts. It's getting the number 1 reps in practice. But Brady says, I don't think Wilson starts here. The quarterback will be Fields. That's what I thought.
I'm under a different impression. I thought that Russell Wilson was going to be starting this game from what I read, and then seeing that correlate when that news was released with the line movement, I was thinking Russell Wilson was going to start. But that's very important for my handicap, because you look at this matchup. I feel like you could split each you could just split the variables down the middle. Jets have the advantage on offense. Steelers have the advantage on defense. Jets have a better quarterback. Steelers have better coaching. I feel like any way you want to look at it, this is a true 50-50 spot from an X's and O's matchup standpoint. But the most important variable in this spot, like from a matchup standpoint, is are they going to be able to run the ball? The Steelers, that is. If you watch this defense for the Jets, they don't make adjustments. They still didn't make adjustments yesterday. They line up in the base 4-3. They don't change the techniques of the interior defensive line. It's so easy to design a scheme to run the ball. Problem is, I'm not sold on the Steelers' rushing attack. And if you incorporate Russell Wilson as the quarterback instead of Justin Fields, there's going to be a lot of problems. I feel like, especially, when he's first getting incorporated into the offense. I was surprised when I heard it too. So I'm not completely bought that Russell Wilson's going to start at quarterback. This could be a false flag. They move the line. I don't know what's going on. But I do like the Jets in this spot. Just looking at the spot, thinking it's a 50-50 spot, which favors the home dog in this situation. But the price of the game being generated by the books right now, 1.5, it tells us to bet the fucking Jets. They're extremely unlucky. We all just witnessed what happened in the Bills game. The offense has definitely been progressing. They add a piece this week. The defense is still a mystery to me, but the bookies are telling me to bet the Jets. Then I want to bet the Jets, and this is a bullish-ass line movement where it currently sits. So I did bet the Jets. I'm just going to put it down now. If this line flips back, if you want to wait, it's probably the right thing. But for the show, for entertainment purposes, and I bet it with my own money, I bet the Jets on the money line, -125.
Yeah, I get it. When I was like seething last night, it is a big swing for me, losing the Jets spot. Big swing, huge. And I want to back them here against Pittsburgh. I think this is a very vulnerable Steelers squad, and that was not anything like the numbers they put up against the Raiders.
Bad teams put up numbers against the Raiders.
Yeah, I I want the Jets. I want the Jets here. I just am concerned about how big this move is, with the Devontae Adams trade. I wonder if we do wait, if we could get a better line. I'm not sure if that's the case.
The Steelers are not going to be able to score 17 points this week. Like, I don't think they score. I don't think the Steelers score 17 points.
It's an interesting way of handling it, is moving on a Steelers team total under. That
is a good way. I preach, man, because I have history saying to take the under and take the Jets heavily. Like, the most specific to this market right now tells me it's an undefeated 6-0 spot to the Jets winning by 5 or more, and a undefeated to the under as well. Going under by margin, the highest total 31.
And Birdie's saying, don't you want to know who's starting for the Steelers first?
Yes. I mean, definitely. But what are you risking at that point when he gets announced in? See, that's where I get confused, because when he gets announced in, we're going to see this go to Jets 2.5, right? But if it's Justin Fields, we'll probably see this flip back to Steelers 1.5. Steelers 1.
Yeah, I agree, Saturated, that it could be a dead ass under, but I also think that with the Devontae Adams trade, the Steelers putting up 32 points last game, that it wouldn't surprise me if the public thinks this is too low. I don't think there's any rush for us to move on it. Yeah, I like the Jets here. And I like the under. I'm not sure how exactly to move on this yet. I'll have to figure this out, whether it's a full game under, whether it's just a Steelers team total under. I think I'd prefer that, because I really think that the Steelers defense is hurting not hurt. They're still a very good defense, but God, you take Highsmith and Herbig out. Now, Highsmith is still just questionable while Herbig is being announced out. Saturated said Jets will have a weakness versus the rush. I think this Najee Harris rush offense for the Steelers is very pedestrian. Najee Harris does not look good. Now, he had a great game, and can he do that again here is the question. But yeah, the Jets rush defense has been a problem. They're allowing 124.2 yards per game. There's no doubt about that. I'm interested. I'm very interested in joining you here. Got to figure this out.
Yeah, I'm looking towards the under. I know it's ticked up 0.5 of a point. I'm going to wait on the under, but the under is definitely in play here. And actually, the market move in this price range with the low total, this market, the flippening, when the flippening happens, man, the market is really efficient on the total and the side.
This was at a 36.5 juice to the under this morning at 10:25. The Devontae Adams trade moves it this much. It's ridiculous. I think they're going to come back to their senses, honestly, but I got to wait and see, because a 38.5 sounds pretty good to me.
But that's the thing. Like, all of this just smells like bait a little bit, man. It just kind of smells like bait with how drastic that move was. And then it goes back to what I was talking about with the Bengals, or the Browns. Like, that move, man. That move. Oh, man, there's so much we're going to learn from this week.
I can't wait to watch this football game, though. Sunday night will be so much fun here on Pop Sports Radio. Troy on the Jets money line. I imagine that I will be moving on that here as well. And then I think a Steelers team total under, but I'm going to wait on that here. But I'll be studying this more throughout the evening. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, Troy's moved on to Jets money line. We move on to our Monday night doubleheader. Starts at 8:15 p.m. Eastern with the Baltimore Ravens 4-2, 2-1 on the road at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4-2, 2-1 at home at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. 78 Fahrenheit clear, 4 mile per hour winds in Tampa. Let's get into the line history. We'll start with this total. Go back to Pinnacle. This total is at 48. It's minus 114 to the over. It's opened up at 50. So we've dropped 2 points down to 48. two teams that we just saw put up a combined 81 points last week. From a spread perspective, this is the Bucks plus 3.5 at minus 107. Opened up at 4.5, so we have a 1 point move toward the Bucks and a 2 point move towards the under. Let's see what the cash flow is here. We have 30% of the tickets, 30% of the cash on the Buccaneers. We see a 1 point move towards them. 78% of the tickets and 90% cash on the over. My dude says Ravens all day. Ravens all day. Let's talk about the Ravens first. Their passing offense, 8th in the league, 248.3 yards per game, and they have the best rushing offense in the league. They're running for 205.3 yards per game. Their red zone offense is tied for first in the league, cashing touchdowns 75% of the time. Their third down offense is first in the league, converting first downs 51.5% of the time. Number one rushing offense, number one red zone offense, number one third down offense. And then you go to their pass defense, 31st in the league. They're allowing 275.7 yards per game. Their rush defense is the best in the league, allowing 59 yards per game. But their red zone defense and third down defense is weak. I don't think we should get too caught up in their rush defense. Their red zone defense, 25th in the league at 66.7%. Their third down defense, 21st at 41.1%. Ravens coming off a 30-23 victory at home over the Commanders. Their offense looked excellent. 484 total yards. They look so good. Lamar Jackson was 28-26 for 323 yards, touchdown and a pick. He also ran 11 times for 40 yards. Zay Flowers caught 9 for 132 yards. Rashad Bateman caught 4 for 71 yards. And we had Mark Andrews sighting. Now, he did have a pass bounce off his hands for a Commander interception, but he also caught 3 passes for 66 yards and a touchdown to gain a little more confidence. Derrick Henry ran 24 times for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. His NFL leading 8th and 9th touchdowns of the year. He became the first player to rush for a touchdown in each of his first 6 games since LaDainian Tomlinson in 2005. 6 of 10 on third down, 3 of 4 in the red zone, and they held on to the ball for 36 minutes and 8 seconds. But this pass defense looks vulnerable. They allowed 16 passing first downs and 253 total yards through the air, held the Commanders to 4 of 12 on third down, and completely shut down their run game, allowing just 52 on the ground, 3 sacks, 8 quarterback hits. Linebacker Malik Harrison, cornerback Arthur Mollett, and defensive end Broderick Washington were inactive. Mollett has been placed on IR. The other 2 are questionable. Let's get into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Passing offense, 11th in the league, 230.3 yards per game. Rushing offense, 8th in the league, 136.8 yards per game. Red zone offense, 9th in the league, 65.2% of the time. They're catching touchdowns. And their third down offense, 4th in the league, 47.1%. That is so much better than what I expected from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense this year. I mean, this is a very good quality offense. Their pass defense, 28th in the league, 252.3 yards per game. So we have the 28th passing defense in the Buccaneers and the 31st passing defense in the Ravens. And the total opens up at 50 and drops 2 points to 48. Wild. Their rush defense is 11th in the league. They allow 113.3 yards per game. Red zone defense, 12th in the league, 48%. Third down defense, 17th at 37.2%. Buccaneers coming off a monster 51-27 victory at New Orleans. They became the 5th team in NFL history to have at least 300 yards passing and 275 yards rushing in a game. 594 total offensive yards, second most ever yielded by the Saints. Mayfield, 24-36 for 325 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. He also ran 3 times for 29 yards. Godwin led receivers with 11 catches for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rashad White out with a foot injury. In comes Sean Tucker. And good God, did he make the most of it. 14 carries for 136 yards and a touchdown. Caught 3 for 56 yards and a touchdown. Bucky Irving ran 14 times for 81 yards and a touchdown. They ran for 277 yards, 6 of 10 on third down, 4 or 5 in the red zone, 8.2 yards per play, and they held the Saints to 4.6. Held the Saints to 4-13 on third down, 2 of 4 in the red zone. Pass rush had 5 sacks and 10 quarterback hits. McCollum and Smith had interceptions. Jamel Dean did leave in the first quarter with a hamstring injury. He's listed as questionable here this week. And Servoce Dennis was placed on IR. He's week to week, but he's been placed on IR with a shoulder injury. Take it away here for us, Troy. Our first of the double header on Monday, Ravens Buccaneers.
Some of the cappers in the chat are listening. It makes me feel good, man, because that means they're cashing in these spots. Home dogs, +3, +4. We want to fade them. When do we want to fade them? When the market's moving towards the under. Because when you have a home dog between 3 and 4, the market moves towards the under. The home dog is only 10-21 ATS, 8-28 straight up. And if the line is also moving towards them, it just gets worse. 7-16 ATS, 5-19 straight up. That's 21%. This is the sharp trap range that I like to I like the back. I like to see the line moving towards the Bucs. I want to back the better team in this situation. And I agree with Birdie. I don't think the Bucs are in a necessarily favorable spot with, based on their situation next week and what they're coming off of. And this was, what the hell? My computer just went black. Jim, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hold on one sec, man.
No
Let me
worries.
Control-Alt-Delete something here. I have too many tabs open. All right, I'm back good. I can see you. I can hear you. I'm all good.
All right.
Okay, so this is what I see with this game, the matchup. This should be a game that's going to be playing to the over. We've seen both these teams' defenses be extremely vulnerable. But you don't want to be – if you're the Bucs, you don't want to be in a shootout with the Ravens. I think that's why we're seeing this total tick towards the under, because I think that correlates with the side being the Bucs in this situation. But my thesis on this game is that line movement is a trap. We all know the Bucs are vulnerable to rushing offenses and rushing attacks like the Ravens. The run D per PFF is 29th in the NFL, and if you can't stop the run, if you're slow at the linebacker position, slow and old in this case, you won't be able to stop the Ravens. So, and on the other hand, the Ravens are going to make this Bucs team one-dimensional. We're not going to see what we've seen in the Saints game. The Saints couldn't run the ball against the Bucs, or the Bucs could run the ball against the Saints. Excuse me. The Bucs aren't going to be able to run the ball against the Ravens. We're going to see them shut that shit down, force Baker Mayfield, this offense, to be one-dimensional, makes them easier to defend. And all I'm saying is it's going to be much easier. It's going to be much easier to stop the Bucs than the Bucs to stop the Ravens. I think we have I think there's an edge right here. I moved down the Ravens. I bought the half a point again, and I got the same price, the minus 120.
Wow. I'm going to get that again. Sorry, I get your play here again. I was just researching something for Birdie. But yeah, Birdie, it's this total opened up at 47 at BetOnline too. Got up to 50 like all the other books and then dropped to 48. So all the books had this at 50 yesterday morning. So it doesn't matter which book I click on. Bookmaker opened this at 50. Every book was at 50 at one point. Heritage opened this at 50.5. So it doesn't matter, what book you want. This
you got to look at Pinnacle. You got to look at Pinnacle, man. Especially in the NFL, I feel like it's the one sport where it's Pinnacle is driving the market and a lot of the moves that are happening.
I feel you, bro. It's all good. That's important, very, very important, crucial stuff here. Derek, nice to see you, my man. So give me your action here one more time.
Circa's a good one, Birdie. Circa's okay, yeah. Circa's probably, it would be right there. Those two are the top of the list when it comes to betting on the NFL. So I got the Ravens. I got -3. I bought the half a point down to minus 120.
Wow. Very, very interesting. Sharp trap situation here. Extremely interesting. You are locked in. Ravens -3.
The best part is about the sharp trap, Jim, and even the cash cow trend is it gives you the ability to bet on the better team. It gives you the ability to bet with the public. It gives you confidence to see what happens in these markets, and you want to bet these spots. I love this spot.
Ravens -3 at -120 for Troy. Again, that's the first of our Monday double header. Let's get into the second, 8:45 p.m. Eastern. Los Angeles Chargers 3-2, 2-1 on the road at the Arizona Cardinals 2-4, 1-2 at home. We're at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Let's get into the line history here. We'll start with the total. This total is at 43.5, -120 to the over. Opened up at 43.5. Within a day was down to 41.5. And then back up to 43.5. So wild movement here. We have 13 cents movement to the over overall, though, in this one. Let's get into the spread. We have the Chargers -2.5 at -113. They opened up -2.5 at -106. Now, this was a pick 'em in the look ahead at BetOnline, but 7 cents of movement at the 2.5 number against the Chargers, or for the Chargers, I should say. And then we have 55% of the tickets, 63% of cash on the Chargers, 89% of the tickets, and 95% of cash on the over. Start with the Chargers. Their passing offense, 29th in the league, 153.2 yards per game. Interesting. 10th in the league, rushing at 127.8. Red zone offense has struggled, 28th in the league, cashing touchdowns 41.7% of the time. Third down offense, 10th at 42.5%. It's their defense that they've been excelling with. Pass defense 8th in the league. They're allowing 192 yards through the air. Their rush defense 6th, allowing 97.2 rushing yards a game. Their red zone defense 8th in the league, allowing touchdowns just 44.4% of the time. And their third down defense 18th, 37.3. They're coming off a dominant 23-16 victory at Denver. It was such a clinical beatdown. They had 2 field goals and 2 touchdowns before a kneel down to end the first half. They held onto the ball for 21 minutes of that first half. It was impressive. Now, Patrick Surtain was out of the lineup after the concussion on the first play, but still, the Broncos had 1 snap in Chargers territory, and that was when Javonte Williams fumbled. Chargers were in control from the jump. What a difference a year makes, as Herbert was 21 of 34 for 237 yards and a touchdown, and the 21 completions were a season high, and the 237 yards was a season high. And it's just wild, the difference this year. J.K. Dobbins ran 25 times for 96 yards and a touchdown. Fehoko caught 2 passes for 44 yards. McConkey was next with 4 for 43. The offense went 11 of 18 on third down. I mean, that's just clinical. That allowed them to dominate time of possession, 37-23 to 22-37, just 1 of 3 in the red zone. The pass rush was quiet. Second straight game without Joey Bosa. He's dealing with a hip injury. He's listed as questionable this week. Finished with 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, held the Broncos to 3 of 11 on third down. Now, the Broncos were perfect 2-2 in the red zone, but they didn't even get there until the fourth quarter. Now, Christian Fulton and Dean Leonard are listed as questionable. They both hurt their hamstrings. Now, this is already a secondary that's out without Asante Samuel, who was placed on IR last week with the shoulder injury. And tight end Hayden Hurst also left with a groin injury. He's listed as questionable this week. So we need to find out about Leonard and Fulton. Very important with Samuel out. Let's talk about these Cardinals. Passing offense 24th at 187 yards per game. Their rushing offense 7th at 145.2 yards per game, which was a wild watching them struggle so terribly on the run in their 34-13 loss at Green Bay. That was something that we thought they were going to take advantage of. And we were, it was off. Red zone offense 13th in the league, 58.8%. Third down offense 15th at 40.6%. Their defense is bad. Their third down defense is the worst in the NFL. They allow conversions 49.3% of the time. Their rush defense is 29th in the league, allowing 153 yards per game. Pass defense 22nd at 220.3 yards per game. And their red zone defense 18th at 53.9%. This is a weak defense. There's no doubt about it. They come off that ugly 34-13 loss at Green Bay. Now they fumbled 3 times in the loss. Kyler Murray finished 22 of 32 for 214 yards, touchdown, and no picks. He also lost a fumble. Trey McBride led receivers with 8 catches for 96 yards. James Conner had a terrible day. 7 carries for 24 yards and lost a fumble. Greg Dortch had the other fumble. Just 4 of 10 on third down, 1 of 3 in the red zone. But it was their defense that looked so awful. 437 total yards allowed. Packers were 7 of 12 on third down. Allowed them to hold on to the ball for 36-35 of the game. 2 of 4 in the red zone. This Cardinal pass rush was non-existent. No sacks, 2 quarterback hits. Now, Sean Murphy-Bunting had the interception, but he was burned on a bunch of plays. Like, he looked bad out. That's the worst I've ever seen him look, and he got a pick in the game. And now they're down all these players to injuries. So Marvin Harrison Jr. left with a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. Kaiser White with the knee injury, linebacker. Defensive tackle Bilal Nichols. Now, it's just a stinger. They're hoping he's going to be back. He's listed questionable. Joey Blount, hamstring injury. Their left guard, Evan Brown, ankle injury. And even Murphy Bunting had the neck injury. They're all listed as questionable this week. We must keep an eye on this injury report. I mean, I obviously have a bias from watching what we saw last week. The Chargers were coming off of a bye, and it was just like, I keep using the word clinical, but it was they just completely, they gave them no hope. The Broncos couldn't breathe. And the Arizona Cardinals looked horrific. Now 3 fumbles were the cause of that. Take it away, Troy. The second half of our doubleheader live stream on Monday night, Chargers Cardinals.
This game is pretty funny to me because it's true. The Cardinals are 1 on 1 off. They can't put 2 good games or 2 bad games for that matter in a row, back-to-back weeks. I mean, it's a tale of 2 teams every week. You got the little engine that could, then you got the little sisters of the poor, and it just makes no sense. So I guess this would be considered an on week for this Cardinals team. I mean, you look at this number, and if it doesn't get to 3, it'd make me feel confident in the Cardinals being the side this week. But I think it's actually where this market currently sits with these two teams, I think it's incredibly sharp, especially even down to the total. We've only seen a 43-point total in the Cardinals home game 3 times last year. It hasn't happened since last year. None of them were, and only 2 of them were before week 10, right? So I feel like this line is telling me there's not going to be a lot of points. The Cardinals want to slow this down to a grind. They like to milk. It's a term we use heavily in the Madden community back in the day. Whoever was the best at milking was the most successful Madden player. And I think that's what the Cardinals are trying to do. They want to milk the game. It's probably going to be a 1-possession game despite who wins. I see value on the Cardinals on a teaser leg. I know there's blowout ability when you're talking about teams like the Cardinals. I currently have no action in this game. I am impressed with what the Chargers were able to do defensively and what they continue to put on film every week defensively.
Drewski says the over 44.5. It's impossible not to notice 89% of the tickets and 95% of the cash on this over. I mean, the over just getting hammered early in this, and we've seen this open up at 43.5 and drop down to 41.5 and then back up to 43.5. And it looks like we're going to see 44s everywhere tomorrow and possibly 44.5. So
it's been 3 years, Jim. It's been 3 years. Every week I come in. So tomorrow I'm going to wake up. I'm going to make all the inputs from last week into the database, where it opened, where it closed, cash flow. But usually, so tomorrow I'm going to also add where the cash flow is in all these situations that we're looking at today. And I tell you what, there's more variance between the splits, the cash flow, and how much lines move than the past 2 years before that. I just feel like there's drastic swings. It makes me feel like what I was referring to earlier is like there's predetermined line movement to test different levels in the marketplace, especially when these numbers are the 2.5 range is different because you're looking at a 3, so there's not much room to work there. But when you're talking 5 to 3.5, like you see a lot of what I'm going to call manipulation, for lack of a better term.
I am very interested in the under as well. I just want to see how high this climbs at this point. John saying Arizona is the bottom 10 team in his opinion. I can understand that. I do think this is a buy low opportunity on Arizona, but I don't want to fade the Chargers, and I find that the under is the most appealing spot. No, Saturated, he has not sent anything in, but I had to send him some cash, which I did not enjoy, and I shouldn't have had to. Jesus Christ, I can't get into it. All right, let's review all action here on our Week 7 card. Again, Troy coming off a 15-7 plus 9.13 unit week, and we need winners. Troy's on the Broncos, money line minus 130. I'm going to be joining him here. Troy is on the Patriots in Wembley Stadium at +6 and minus 120 against the Jaguars. I have some interest in the over in Seattle, Atlanta. I'm certainly not betting it tonight. We have a teaser from Troy, a Lions +8.5 and the Bills -2.5. And I hate saying it, but I have interest in the Titans here with the Bills on a short week. I have interest in the Titans. I think, over a touchdown now. But again, they've cost me a lot of money this year, and I am not too sure if I can handle that. So I don't know. Bengals, Browns, no action here. We heard the chat heavy on the Bengals, and then Birdie saying he's on Browns money line and spread. So
I got that teaser in the Bengals game. Bengals Lions.
That's Bengals Lions. I think I have that under the Lions game. But
okay, yeah. I do too. I have it under the Lions game, but I just wanted to.
I'll make sure that I do. No, it's a good point to bring it up. Packers. I want the Packers. I expect to bet that probably tonight. Troy's on the Dolphins +3 at even money. It's very ballsy, and I just need to sit with this. This is a very tough football game. Dolphins Colts. I need to sit with that longer. Troy is on the Lions money line at plus 115. So I don't have that here. So it was Lions, Bengals. What was it again?
Lions plus 8.5. Bengals minus half.
I thought I
Minus
wrote that
120.
Minus half. Okay. Minus 120. Okay, locked in. I want the under in this one. Again, I'm not sure if I move on it tonight. I'm going to certainly think about it. Then next up for us is Troy on the Eagles -3 at -107 and Eagles Giants. The under in Raiders Rams is appealing to me, but I need to sit with that longer. Then the Panthers team total over is something I really like. I want to make sure that it's the right time to bet it, but I do really like it here. Really like it. And then we have the 49ers first quarter and first half for Troy. So he's locked in there. Troy's on the Jets money line. I like the Jets. I like the Jets and the under, or the Steelers team total under. I may move on that tonight to have that in pocket. Troy's on the Ravens -3 at -120. I love the idea of going up against the market in certain situations, and you've done that. You're doing that twice here. You're doing that with the Eagles and the Ravens at this point.
Yep.
And there's just what happens with this show is you get so much food for thought. You can sit. I'm going to be, obviously it's just going to be all week staring at these spots here and deciding what to do. This is a crucial week for both of us. It's a crucial week for the show. We're deep enough into the season where we should start showing success. And you certainly did that last week. We close up shop here. I'm interested in the under in Chargers Cardinals. That's climbing right now. There's no need to move on it yet. There you go. That is our show for Tuesday, October 15th, week 7 of the NFL season. These days that I can't do it all in one day. There's just not enough hours in the day so you start setting this up on Monday and working on Monday and then work for every second of Tuesday. And it's a real battle that we're facing and we're fighting here. But it's a battle where we have to succeed. There's no other option. And we have not done that so far this year, and it can't go on. So we must win this week. And I expect us to do that. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. Ron Crawford, Jared TG, Al Cervic, Birdie. Says, do not fade the Chiefs next week, says our guy, Birdie. Jermaine, Jim W. Putt, thank you. My dude, Key Game Outside, thank you for rocking with us. Harold Williams, Saturated, Benjamin Mills, Mac Beavers, Drew Ski, Truth Teller, John, thank you guys so much for rocking with us. JT in the house, truly, truly thank you. Slatsy, Gerald Jones, Chase J, Dirty Reg. We have nothing without you guys. Thank you so, so much. Also, thank you to our producer, Jose Bouquet, who works tirelessly and now has to cut all these videos up. He just works tirelessly to make us look good here on Pub Sports Radio. Thank you so much to you, Jose Bouquet. And thank you, Troy Torrence. I love working with you, my man. We need it. You got it last week. Let's get it again this week. Any final words for the Cappers supporting the show?
Yeah, of course. I have about 11 bets I think I gave out on this show today. That's usually about half of the action I put in on a week. And, from here, it's going to be probably a few money line parlays, a few teasers that are built into there, maybe one or two sides, but there's a lot more work to do, man. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'll be posting it in not so much of a timely fashion anymore, but when I post it, it'll be the market wide lines. So
let's get it. Let's get this cash. Week 7. Let's get this fucking money. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Let's get paid in full.